Donald and Fawn Desi are suing their daughter's former friend, Michael Moskovich, for the cost of medical bills. The Desis say Michael's friend broke her wrist while riding one of their mules.
All rise.
Yeah, this is case number 329 on the calendar in the matter of Desi versus Moskovich.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mr. and Mrs. Desi, you have a daughter,
We do.
and what is her name?
Sarah.
And Sarah is your friend.
Yes.
According to the complaint that I read, you maintain horses at your home, and Sarah invited you to come over and ride horses. According to you, you asked Sarah if you could bring a couple of friends. She said, sure. You arrived with 2 friends. According to the plaintiffs, they agreed to allow you to ride as guests 2 horses and a mule. They said, listen, just walk the horses, don't run them. You were out with your 2 friends, and one of your friends fell off the horse and broke an ankle. Mr. and Mrs. Desi, for some reason that they will explain to me, paid the medical bills for this young woman. And Mr. and Mrs. Desi now feel, since you brought these 2 other people with you, and since you were in some way negligent, you should be responsible for the medical bill that they paid. Is that pretty much the case?
Yes.
Well, that's sort of an interesting scenario, Mr. and Mrs. Desi. Are you attorneys?
We are.
That's what Mr. Moskovich says in his answer. So let's try to figure out, since you are both attorneys, under what theory do you believe the defendant is responsible for this young woman's medical bills?
We believe he's responsible because he repeatedly promised to walk the horse that he would be riding as the lead horse, and instead he ran the horse and admitted.
How do you know that, sir? Were you there?
No, not only did we hear from a neighbor.
Listen, Mr. Desi, you're a lawyer, so you know that you can't tell me what you heard from a neighbor, because that's all hearsay. He acknowledges that he picked up the pace, didn't run the horses, but that you picked up the pace. He's not responsible for what this other young woman does.
The mule that the other young woman was on simply followed Michael when he started trotting his horse.
Mr. Desi, how do you know that, sir?
Because that's what Michael and the lady who got hurt, Darren, told us.
Well, where's the lady who got hurt?
She's right here.
Stand up. You're Darren.
Yes.
Fine. You promised that you wouldn't run the horses.
Yes, but can I say...
Just a second. Okay. Did you run the horses?
No.
The horses were not running.
They were trotting.
Trotting. Okay. So that's what they say.
Well, and trotting is actually worse than running. Anybody who's ever been on a horse knows that trotting creates a very, very bumpy type ride, especially when you're trotting on a road instead of on softer dirt.
Mr. Desi, you told me that when you turned over the horses to Mr. Moskovich, he said to you that he would not run the horse. He says he did not run the horse. He said he trotted the horse. Now, you were riding the mule?
Yeah, it's actually it looks like a big, beautiful brown horse.
But it's a mule?
It's called a mule, yes.
Okay, and how fast were you going?
I would say we were walking for about 15 minutes, and then the minute the horse started to pick up pace, I don't know how to describe it. I don't know I don't know if the definition
Which horse?
is trot. My horse, the horse, or actually there were 3 horses. Our friend Araj was riding the first horse, who was leading. Then it was Mikey, and then it was me in the back. And we were walking for about 15 minutes, and then the minute the horse started to pick up pace, not run. I am not an avid horseback rider. I'm afraid of it. There's no way I'm going to run. You know, like that, I guess. And the minute that started to happen, I slipped to the side, fell off the horse, broke my left wrist, actually.
Wrist?
3 places.
Well, just a second. Miss Sandler, you fell off the horse.
Yes.
Why would you think that Mr. and Mrs. Desi would be responsible for your medical bills?
Because I believe the saddle was not saddled correctly.
Well, did you tell them that?
Yes.
And what did they say when you told them that it wasn't saddled correctly?
Well, I called Mr. Desi to talk to him about the possibility of maybe going through homeowner's insurance, and he had told me that he would pay my medical bills, that he did not want me calling his home because he did not want his wife to know, and that he did not want to go through homeowner's insurance. He'd rather just pay it himself.
Did she tell you that the horse appeared to be saddled, Mr. Desi?
No, she did not.
Well, if she didn't claim to you that the saddle had been misapplied, because I don't ride horses, then as a lawyer, Why would you want to pay her medical bills when you bore no responsibility? She assumes the risk that she's riding a horse. She's a novice. She understands she's a novice. If she falls off the horse, that's her problem, not yours.
Only because I was threatened with a lawsuit because her uncle is an attorney.
Just a second. What did she claim when she threatened you with a lawsuit, Mr. Desi?
That if I didn't pay her medical bills, I was going to be sued.
Just a second. So you say, why would I be responsible for your medical bills? And are you trying to tell me, sir, that she didn't say to you because the saddle wasn't on right?
I heard from Michael that she was claiming the saddle had slipped on the horse. She never told me, but Michael did.
So that you were aware that that was the claim that she was making?
Yes.
Well, after the fact, not at that stage.
At what stage?
Months later, when we heard from her father after Michael did not pay the bills that he had promised.
Michael is under no obligation whatsoever to pay the bills. Absolutely none.
He promised to do that, though.
I don't know. Did he promise you?
Yes, he did.
Oh, well, tell me about that.
He promised Ron heard him first, and then when I was
just a second.
feeding them
Listen
dinner.
to me. Hey, when did he promise to pay you the bills?
He promised in my presence to Darren to pay the bills to Darren.
So when did you decide to assume that responsibility?
When we got threatened with a lawsuit. The alternative was to turn it into our insurance company, who would have raised our premiums or canceled us regardless of whether we were right or wrong.
Mr. Moshkovitz is not responsible for these medical bills. And if you assume the responsibility of paying for them because you chose not to turn the matter into your homeowners, that's your problem. You, through your daughter, invited these people onto your property. You have no direct proof that they did anything untoward in riding these horses. You would bear no responsibility unless there was something that happened that was your fault. If, for instance, you missaddled a horse that caused the blanket to slip, that caused her to fall off, that would have been your responsibility. And perhaps that's the reason why you decided not to put the matter to your homeowner's insurance. I don't know, but certainly Mr. Moshkovitz isn't responsible at all. You're lawyers. You have to have a theory of a case if you're lawyers.
We believe he broke his promise to us to walk the horses. Trotting is not walking.
You have no proof of that, Mr.
Your Honor,
Desi.
we do.
He admitted it.
And he went 9/10 of a mile in 5 minutes. Now, you tell me he was walking those horses. He was not. He was running the horses. The horses were perfectly saddled. There was no indication that a saddle was askew. When I got to
I do not believe, madam, for 1 second that this young lady, who was not a horse person, was running a horse.
She wasn't running the horse. Her mule simply followed Michael, who decided not to walk his horse.
I don't believe her horse was running.
trotting then.
Listen, Miss Desi, I'm not going to sit here and try to figure out when does a trot become a run.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
he had told me that he was separated from his wife, and I didn't find out till months later that the day he got my phone number, he went home and moved out and left his wife.
That still doesn't tell me why you let him move in 2 days after you met him.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Ronald and Fawn Desi claim their daughter's former friend, Michael Moskovich, owes for medical bills they paid on behalf of his friend.
He said to you, I will not run the horses. I don't believe he ran the horses. You have no proof that he ran the horses.
He said
you have no case. Period. You know you have no case. You can talk from today until tomorrow. You're two lawyers. You're trained people. Give me a theory.
Negligence.
Negligence. The only negligence that I've heard is that the saddle was misapplied. That's the only negligence.
That's not the only evidence. You've heard me say I got to the animals were perfectly saddled. I have been saddling animals for 35 years.
Perfect. Then let us assume, Miss Desi, that the saddle was perfectly applied. And the reason she fell off the horse was because she was not a good horse person. And she fell off the horse and broke her ankle. That happens through nobody's fault. She fell off the horse. He's not responsible for that. You are not responsible for that. If you chose to assume that responsibility, you cannot visit it on the defendant. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Actually, I was in the middle, and there was a guy in front of me, and she was in the back. So I don't know why they're coming after me when they could have gone after the guy who was actually leading.
I chose to be a good person and just let them pay my medical bills. and I think that they're horrible people for going after this one.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Brown versus Davis, step forward, please.
Rebecca Brown is suing her granddaughter's mother, Crystal Davis, for an outstanding cell phone bill and for the return of her granddaughter's clothes.
Miss Brown, I gather that your son and Miss Davis had a relationship.
Correct.
And that relationship produced a child, a little girl, and you have legal custody of that child.
Correct.
You claim two things. You claim that when your granddaughter goes to visit with her mother, or had in the past, her mother kept some property of your granddaughter's that you bought for her.
Correct.
And in addition, you say that she owes you some money for a cell phone that you got for her.
Correct.
I gather that that's some of the property that was at your house?
Yes.
Okay, Bert, could we move that property from one table to the next, please? Is that all the property of your daughters that you have at your house?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I assume, Miss Brown, that you believe that there is more stuff there at the house than just this stuff. I'm not interested.
Mm-hmm.
That happens. Where is your son?
My son lives in Virginia.
Well, how often does he see his daughter?
He does not.
Why?
Because he doesn't want to.
Are you in touch with him?
I sent him an email just recently encouraging him to come see his daughter because his daughter made several remarks to me that concerned me as a parent about him. She stated she hates him because he does not love her.
Sounds to me as if you got a lot on your plate.
Yes, I do.
Now, Miss Brown, have you sued your son for child support?
No.
Why not?
Because from the last time I heard he was unemployed, because my intentions were to take him to court.
You should.
And I will, once I find out that he's working.
You don't have to wait until you find out that he's working. I'm going to tell you why. Because
Why?
in the courts in this country, you are presumed to be able to take care of your children. And when I sat in the family court, I would say to people, I'm making an order. You go out and find yourself a job, and I don't care if you collect cans at a nickel a can. But you are going to support this child, and if you don't, I'm going to put you in jail. So you're going to have a choice. You're going to go to jail, or you're going to get a job. That's it. Now, let me hear about this phone bill. She got you a cell phone.
Yes.
At your request.
Yes.
And you were supposed to pay the bill.
Yes.
Did you pay the bill?
Yes. I paid her what I used for that phone, which was $102.59.
Why did you get her the phone, Miss Brown?
I gave Crystal the phone, Your Honor, because of her daughter. Tyrell is Crystal's daughter, and she wanted to be in touch with her mother. And I said, okay, if I give her this phone, I would be able to track her by that number so her daughter could talk to her. She ran the phone bill up $102 the first time, and the second time she ran the bill up, it was $281.26.
Did she pay the 102?
She finally paid $100. And the second time, she came back around the end of January, and she brought $100.
So now she's giving you $200.
She's giving me $200.
Okay.
And I said, you owe me more than $200. You
All right,
will
so far she owes you an extra $181.61.
$181.26.
I'm not disputing the fact that the bill might be another $181.
Fine.
I told her clearly when she gave me the phone that I had started a new job, and the bill was going to be 2 days late.
Are you telling me, Miss Davis, that your payment was 2 days late and then she canceled the phone?
Yes.
Is that right?
No, that's incorrect.
How late was it?
The bill was at that point 60 days late.
That's
Why,
for the
Miss
time.
Miss Davis,
Go ahead.
she doesn't look like the kind of lady that has psychotic breakdowns. Why do you think that after a couple of months, she would say, now I'm going to cut off the phone because she's 2 days late? Does that make sense to you? Doesn't make sense. And if it doesn't make sense, it's not true.
It's the reality.
No.
Okay,
It isn't.
well.
That may be your reality. I
I'm not
want you to
dis-
get in touch with your reality. When was the last time you saw your daughter?
The last time I saw my daughter was coming from Christmas. I had her for Christmas, and I took her back to her. That was the last time that I seen my daughter.
When was the last time you made an attempt to see your daughter?
The last time I talked to her on the phone was a Sunday afternoon, and she was so upset about the phone bill. It wasn't even nothing really said. I was like, hello, this is Crystal. She was like, I have nothing to say to you until I see you in court, and hung up the phone.
Okay, so we're going to take care of this $181.26, and then I assume that you're going to go and see your daughter.
I would hope that I can see my daughter, which one has absolutely nothing to do with the other. I shouldn't have been held from seeing my daughter.
You're absolutely right, because that punishes your daughter. Do you have other children other than your son?
I have 2 sons.
2 sons. And where is the other son?
My other son is out on his own. He's 24 years old. When they get a certain age, they have to leave my house. They have to become responsible.
Good. No failure to launch in your house?
No. No.
Assume that you didn't sign on to become a parent all over again.
No, Your Honor, my concern here is I came from a very close-knit family, and I want to see this for Crystal and her daughter. But the greater concern that I have is my granddaughter has suffered. I want it stopped. It has to stop.
Ms. Brown, if what you're telling me is that you are devastated because your son and his former girlfriend have acted like 2 irresponsible people with regard to a child that they made, I get it. All I can wish you is good health and long life, because it doesn't look to me as if this child is going to be able to look anywhere but to you for the stability that she needs.
Correct.
Because if Miss Davis says to me, I knew that the only thing standing in between my seeing my daughter and not seeing my daughter was $181, then she should have been out doing whatever was necessary to get that $181 to clear off any problem. I don't care if you go out and sell your blood every day. I would have sold the bling on my hands. Anything that was necessary. You get me? Stop tapping. Lots of grandparents are taking care of their grandchildren. They didn't sign on for it. She's very lucky she has you. You sound like a very together lady. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $181.26. That's all.
Why did you mess that up?
It wasn't about money. It was about accountability, responsibility, and being a good parent.
I don't have nothing to say, nothing nice anyway, so I'm going to leave it just like that.
18-year-old Victoria Dumas is suing her ex-boyfriend, 22-year-old Michael Denson, for bills and damage to her apartment. Victoria says she kicked him out after he came home drunk from a strip club.
All rise.
Now, this is case number 3 on the calendar in the matter of Dumas versus Denson.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Ms. Dumas, the defendant was your former boyfriend.
Yes.
According to your complaint, he came home one evening and he was drunk and he trashed your apartment, destroyed some of your electronics. In addition, you claim that the utilities were in his name, and after you had him evicted from the apartment, he had the utilities turned off, and it cost you several $100s to put the utilities back on. You think he should be responsible for that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Dennison says that it was not he who trashed your apartment, but you were so furious you threw a hissy fit when he came home and you trashed your own apartment.
That's incorrect.
And he also says that he's not paying for any utilities because he wasn't there. Right?
Right.
When did this happen, Ms. Dumas?
Approximately the morning of January 4th, 2006, around 4 in the morning.
How long had you been together prior to that?
About a year.
Where were you that evening, sir?
I had went out with her sister's friend to the strip club. And when I came home...
A male friend or a female?
Male. And when I came home...
Did she know you were going to a strip club?
No.
No.
But I told her when I came back.
Where did you tell her you were going?
I ain't tell her I was going anywhere. I felt like I didn't have to tell her.
Well, you were together for a year. You mean you just left?
I just left. I just wanted to leave. I wanted to go have some fun, so I went to go have some fun. I came back, and she was mad, you know.
What time did you get home?
Around 3:30, 3:40.
That's
incorrect. I'm not talking to you yet. Got home around 3:30. Who drove home?
Her sister's friend.
Did you call him to go out, or did he call you?
No, he came over. He came over. We was all having fun for the night. We was just kicking and having fun.
Who is all?
It was me, her sister, and Dre.
So there were 4 of you, and just the guys decided to go out? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
No, try yes.
Yes. I asked him, let's go out to the strip club. He said, let's go. So I said, let's go.
Didn't they object when you were going out?
No, they didn't even know we left.
You mean they were in the kitchen doing something, and when you...
No, they was in the back room talking, doing a girl thing, so we left. And when we came back, you know, I told her where we went.
Came back. Tell me exactly what happened, Mr. Denson. You walk in the door at 3:30 in the morning. She's waiting up for you.
Yeah, we walk in the door.
Stop.
We walk in the door.
Go back. 3:30 in the morning. You walk in. She's waiting up for you.
Yes.
See, isn't that better?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I get home. She's in the back. She's laying in the bed, so I come back there, you know, I take off my clothes and everything. I get in the bed, you know, and I lay next to her. She say, where you been at? I'm like, I went to the strip club. She said, if you wanted a stripper, I could strip for you, this, that, and the other. So I'm like, I'm not trying to argue with you tonight, you know, and I'm gonna go ahead and go lay down. So about 5-10 minutes later, she come back in the room.
So she left?
Yeah, she left the room. By that time, you know, I'm passed out on my way to sleep. So 5 or 10 minutes later, she come back in the room. She hit me in the head with a pot. The first time she hit me in the head with a pot, I'm thinking I'm dreaming. But the second time she hit me, I wake up in shock, you know. And you know, I'm like, what is you doing? I'm like, you got a serious problem, you know. So I'm pushing her away from me. You know, she's trying to.
Mr. Denson, just my own curiosity. What kind of pot was it?
Like a steel pot. Just, you know, cook anything.
Did she hit you hard?
Yeah, she hit me hard, real hard. The first time I thought I was dreaming, like I told you before, and the second time she hit me, I woke up in shock. I pushed her away from me. You know, she fighting at me, she trying to fight back. Lord. So I pushed her away from me. So she grabbed the rack of dishes, she slammed them on the ground, she slammed all the dishes.
Well, just a second, but you're in the bedroom. Where'd she get dishes from?
I'm pushing her towards the kitchen. This is when we get towards
Just a second, let's go slowly, Mr. Denson. So she hits you on the head with the pot, you jump out of the bed.
While I was pushing her away from me and she was coming towards me, that was in the hallway going towards the kitchen.
Okay.
So she grabbed the dishes, she slammed the dishes down. So
put your hand down.
A couple dishes break. Next thing I know, she throwing glasses, plates, everything. I'm running around, I'm dodging cups, dishes, plates, you know. She cut me on my hand, you know, bleeding. I threw the telephone at her, you know what I mean? So
you threw the telephone at her?
Yeah. So I felt like it was about to get real ugly, so I left. I went to the police station, and about 20 minutes later, they lock and arrest me up. I guess she had called the police, and they said I was the perpetrator. So.
Did anything happen with that arrest?
Yeah, we went through the courts and everything.
And what happened?
I got probation for a year. Now I got to go through all these programs.
Just a second. Were you found guilty?
I pled no contest.
So you pled no contest? Okay, now I want you to tell me your version of what happened on that date, madam.
Me and my sister were in the back. I was putting my 5-month-old daughter to sleep. We were in the back talking. He put them out.
Listen to me. Get to 3:30 in the morning when he comes home.
He didn't come home at 3:30. He came home at about 4 o'clock, 4:30.
All right. Get to 4 o'clock.
He comes in, he's drunk, he's crawling through the door, he could just barely stand up. So he got undressed, he wanted to lay down in the bed and have intercourse. I asked him, where were you at? He said, oh, it's not none of your business where I was at, and I went out, this, that, and the third, and he was drunk and falling all off the bed. I said, okay, well, you can go sleep on the couch because you're not sleeping in my queen-size bed after you just left without telling me anything.
Absolutely right.
So he gets mad. He's laying all on me, touching me and everything. I tell him, don't touch me. Get out my room. He says, oh, whatever, oh, really? And, oh, you just acting like that because you're the one cheating. And, you know, usually the accuser is the cheater. So he's telling me, oh, I want to have intercourse. Oh, you don't give me any because you're the one cheating, blah, blah, blah. I tell him, get out the room. He mugs me in the back of my head. He wants to argue. I'm like, don't touch me. Don't put your hands on me because I will call the police. He like, oh, yeah, call the police. What they going to do to me? Oh, whatever, for real, for real. So he, you know, he's picking with me, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm about to roll over, go to sleep. Don't touch me again, or it's going to get ugly. And I did say that. He said, okay, so I roll over. He constantly arguing. We arguing for about 15 minutes. I stopped talking. I didn't say anything else. He touches me again, pulls my hair. I'm like, okay. I get up, I slap him. I stand up, I told him, get out my house, leave. We can keep it right here where it's at. Don't touch me again, just leave, and we'll talk in the morning. He pushes me down on the bed. We start fighting, we slap boxing each other, we tossing each other around the room. I get up, I'm like, you know what, I'ma leave. I'ma be the bigger person, I'ma leave.
That's what you should have done. Listen to me. That's what you should have done a half hour ago. Half hour ago. You're trying to deal rationally with somebody that crawled through the door. You're trying to deal rationally with them? What is wrong with you?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Then you got up and you trashed the apartment. You got crazed.
I didn't trash the apartment.
Listen to me. Somebody came and hit me with a frying pan. I would react.
And later today.
I did give her the money, of course, because our daughter's safety was at hand.
Why didn't you move out?
There was a lot of things that were going on that I couldn't just move out.
Victoria Dumas says ex-boyfriend Michael Denson owes for unpaid bills and for tearing up her apartment. Michael claims Victoria hit him in the head with a metal pot.
So then you decide to leave the bed. So you left the bed. Go ahead.
I go and I'm walking down the hallway. He's following me.
When did you get the pot?
That was almost 40 minutes later. So he completely lied about that.
And she 40 minutes
That was
lying.
40 minutes later.
Don't speak.
He follows me down the hall. I'm telling him, stay in there. I'm not trying to fight you. We're not about to fight. Go back in there. Don't touch me again. Just go in there. I'm going to leave and go in the living room. I'll sleep on the couch. He's following me, slapping me upside my head, pulling my hair, dragging me down the hallway, trying to fight. Mind you, while this is going on, my sister and her ex-boyfriend were in the living room talking. They thought we were just arguing until I came in there. I'm like, you know what? Forget it. This is the bottom line. I'm calling the police. I pick up the phone right in front of them. Before I can even dial 9, he snatches the cord out the wall, grabs the phone, and throws it at my face. I'm telling him, like, you're drunk. You don't know what you're doing. Just please leave. Please. I'm pleading him, can you just get out? He refuses. He wants to fight. So he's walking around, he picks up my stereo, bashes that on the floor, throws the speakers, picks the phone back up, throws it back at me. I pick it up, throw it back at him. We were just running around the house, and he was flipping over tables, picked up my brand new dining room chairs, busted them up against the wall. This is when I got ready to grab the pot, because he went in the kitchen after he broke 3 dining room chairs. He goes in there and throws the dishes in the sink. China dishes, they fall all out the sink, break on the ground. I grabbed a beer bottle and I threatened him with it. I didn't hit him with it, but I threatened him with it just so he could be intimidated. I asked him, can you please leave, because I don't want to have to hit you with this. So he's like, no, and he mugs me. I'm like, put your hands on me again, I'm going to hit you. He mugs me again, picks me up, and throws me, and I slide up against the coffee
you're making
table.
up some of this as you're going along.
No,
you're
I'm
making up some of it as you're going along. Let's go. Get to the pot.
It's not the truth.
I go in the kitchen, grab the pot. I told him, hit me again, I'm going to hit you with this. He slaps me again. I run up on him. I hit him in the head twice with the pan. Then he stood up after he fell to the ground. He hit me twice in my face, slapped me, and then he dragged me by my hair across the floor. We were fighting on the couch. There was glass everywhere. There was glass, beer bottles broken, and it was a mess.
I think you did some of it yourself. What do you think of that?
I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No, I did break a couple of glasses.
Okay. You're telling me that you composed yourself up until that time?
Yes.
Come on. Get over it. I mean, nobody's
wasn't.
excusing, listen, Ms. Dumas, nobody's excusing his behavior. He behaved very badly that night. Isn't that right, sir?
I didn't behave bad.
Yes, you did. You behaved badly from the time you left. You walked out of the house without telling the woman that you were living with where you were going. And then coming back at 4 o'clock in the morning drunk, according to you, is behaving badly. You don't think that's behaving badly?
No, I don't think it was behaving badly. I wasn't bothering nobody.
Mr. Denson, I don't get emotionally involved with litigants, but I must tell you, in all fairness, I don't like you. I don't like you because I don't think that you understand that it is not responsible to walk out of a house at 11, 12 o'clock at night and go to a strip club and expect the woman that you're living with and sharing a bed with and sharing a life with to accept that because you want to have a good time. That's being a big baby. How old are you?
She didn't left.
I'm speaking.
I'm 22.
22. Well, you are a big baby.
She didn't left the house and ain't call for a whole night. Thanksgiving eat.
But he knew where I was.
Shh, just a second. Just a second. That doesn't make her a mature lady, sir. That makes you two immature people playing house. But I'm telling you, in this instance, I don't think that you behaved like a nice person. That doesn't mean she wasn't the one who left the bed and came back with a pot and hit you over the head. I believe she did that. And I believe that then you got up and you trashed the apartment. You got crazed.
I didn't trash the apartment.
Listen to me. I would too. Somebody came and hit me with a frying pan twice on the head.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
Twice,
I did not hit
twice
him
on the
bed.
Twice on the head. I would react. So I believe that she put her hands on you first. There's no question in my mind that you put your hands on him first.
He hit me first. I defended myself.
No, you didn't.
You destroyed your whole pot.
Shh. You hit him
He hit me first.
Listen to me, Miss Dumas. I listened to your testimony very carefully. You slapped him across the face first. You said he pulled your hair. That's what you testified to. He pulled your hair.
Hard.
And then...
Violently.
Violently. Baloney. Miss Dumas, just because ladies feel as if boys shouldn't hit girls doesn't mean that the law recognizes a distinction between men and women. And you cannot expect to hit somebody else, even if they behave badly, and not to have a response. You hit him, and not only did you hit him, but you hit him with the only dangerous instrument that I see in this complaint, which was a pot, which you acknowledge that you hit him on the head with 2 times. And I'm absolutely amazed that they did not find that actionable when he went to the police. Absolutely amazed. And what lawyer had him plead no contest to this charge? I don't know where his head was at, but certainly I would have, if I were representing him, have given you a run for your money on that one. So your case is dismissed. If your electronics was destroyed, that's your problem. You got to learn to keep your hands to yourself. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He lied about everything.
She was throwing the dishes at me, you know.
He completely twisted up the story.
She hit me in the head with the pot.
I mean, you reap what you sow, so he'll get his one day.
I'm a good dude, you know. I ain't a bad person.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Pittman versus Ariza, step forward, please.
Joel and Wendy Pittman are suing former friend Fabian Ariza for damaging their SUV during a party. The Pittmans claim a drunken Fabian pushed a fellow partygoer into the vehicle.
You two people are married to each other?
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you been married?
3 years tomorrow.
According to your complaint, there was a party. Was the party at your house?
It was.
Defendant was an invited guest at the party. It's your claim that he became drunk, and during the course of an altercation with another guest, he dented your car by pushing the other guest into your car, causing the dent. That's your claim.
That's correct.
So I have a couple of questions. When was this party?
April 22nd.
How many people were at the party?
15 and 20, off and on.
Did everybody bring alcohol, or was alcohol served at the party?
Both.
Did the defendant bring his own alcohol?
He did.
What kind of alcohol did you bring?
I just brought a bottle of whiskey. Everybody was drinking, though. Everybody there it was a party. We were just going to have a good time.
Listen, if I want more of an answer, I'll ask you. Right now, I just asked you one thing. What kind of liquor did you bring?
Just a bottle of whiskey.
What kind of whiskey?
Old Turkey.
You were asking me? That was a question. I don't know. I didn't bring
It's
any
been a
whiskey.
little while, I'm sorry.
Where did you get it from?
I bought it from a liquor store. I'm 24. I can legally buy and drink liquor.
I wasn't accusing you of anything
Yeah,
illegal,
I'm sorry.
sir.
Sorry.
I just asked you where you got it from. You bought it at a store. And what did you drink at the party, Mr. Rosario?
I drank on the bottle of whiskey.
Just your own liquor?
Yes, ma'am.
You didn't drink any of his liquor?
No, ma'am.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Otherwise, it would have been his fault. Now tell me what happened.
He arrived at around 11:30, and everything was going good. A little bit later, Sam arrived. That was the first time they'd met, and they got along pretty good at first. They kind of roughhousing a little bit eventually, and I guess...
Don't tell me what you guessed. I only want to know what you saw.
I saw that he kind of got tired of roughhousing and started maybe taking it a little too serious. And at one point, he pushed Sam into the wall outside of our house. And Sam got up and left. And a little bit later, he arrived back and started apologizing to everyone.
Why was he apologizing? Because he was drunk?
Yeah, because he was drunk and because he was apologizing for the scene that he'd caused and offered to shake his hand and said, you know, we're cool, everything's good, I'm sorry. And he wasn't real receptive of the apology, and he didn't want to, you know, he was still pretty upset. So he walked off the porch into the front yard where he met Sam. And as he approached, Sam kind of opened his arms like he was almost like he was going to hug him. And when they got to that point, he just kind of shoved him off and into the passenger door of my vehicle.
You have a picture of the vehicle?
I do.
I'd like to see it. It's a good shove. You saw the damage?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I didn't think Sam was very amusing or entertaining. I didn't like him when I met him at all. And when he wanted to roughhouse or anything like that, I wasn't playing. And I made that clear because he came over and me and Billy were talking. As we were talking, he kept coming up trying to make snide comments and make little cheap jokes. And I played along at first, and then still I thought, okay, man, that's pretty cool. Okay, fine, funny, you're a funny guy. And eventually I told him, listen, just stop, just go away, bother somebody else. And finally it got to a point where I just said, listen, shut your mouth if you know it's good for you. And at that point, he tried to grab me. Before he put his hands, he said, let's see what you're going to do then. Before he put his hands on me, I pushed him back. That's when he hit the wall. He left, he came back, tried to apologize. He made me mad after he came back and tried to apologize because he said, it's okay, man, I'm not mad. And I took offense to that because I didn't expect him to be mad. He should be apologizing to me. He's the one that instigated. He instigated everything.
Mr. Ariza, you pushed him into a wall.
He was trying to grab
Listen to me. You pushed him into a wall. If you don't like what he said, that's words. You have no right to put your hands on anybody. Ever.
I was under the impression.
Ever. So you put your hands on him
Yes,
without
ma'am.
cause, pushed him into a wall.
He was
fell
about
down.
to put his
I'm
hands on me
speaking.
first.
That's what you told me. So when he came back, he said, listen, it's cool, I'm not mad. And you still felt that he should apologize to you because he was being verbally stupid.
Either way, I didn't want an apology. I didn't want to converse with him any further. And everyone told me just to drop the issue. And I didn't want to, but eventually I said, oh, okay, fine. And I went to shake his hand. And that's when he actually grabbed me. And at that point, we stumbled a little bit, and I turned around, and I tried to push him off, and it took a minute, and I finally did just push him off. And he fell into the truck. I did push him, yeah, but I didn't know the Tahoe was there. And
Well, the Tahoe didn't appear from the sky.
I wasn't really paying too much attention to anything else.
You weren't paying too
with
much
the guy wrapped
attention
around
because,
me.
sir, you weren't paying too much attention because you were drunk, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You were so drunk that according to this answer that I read, sir, you were angry at the plaintiff because you had had an arrangement with the plaintiff to sleep over at his house.
I didn't want to have to drive drunk
I'm
later.
speaking. The answer is yes.
Yes, ma'am.
And he did tell you to leave after you damaged his car. You got into your car because you were drunk, and your car went into a ditch and was damaged, right?
Yes, ma'am. And that's one reason I was surprised that he brought this to court, because I didn't sue him for what happened to me.
How could you sue him? For your stupidity?
I figured we were even Stevens because...
I know that's what you think, but I'm telling you, you're not thinking with what God gave you to think with. You're thinking with another part of your anatomy. Nobody forced you to get into your car and drive home. You don't drink and drive.
Well, it's pretty irresponsible of him to try and send me home anyway.
You just told me you're 24 years old, and I'm old enough to buy liquor. I'm old enough, I can go in. I'm not doing anything wrong with buying liquor. He forced you to get into your car?
He didn't force me, but at the time I wasn't really thinking that I had any other option.
You weren't thinking, sir, because you were drunk. And when you get drunk, you do stupid things.
They were drunk, too. They were doing plenty of stupid things on their own.
Absolutely, sir. We're not here talking about what one stupid drunk does as opposed to another. This stupid drunk caused this damage. Let me see the estimate, please. I'm finished with him.
Your Honor.
Are you another stupid drunk?
I wasn't drinking that night.
Good, then you can be quiet. I hate drunk cases. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,027. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think it was ridiculous. I think it was kind of it was all one big joke. It's like I'm the punchline.
There were about 20 people there. It was hard to keep an eye on everyone.
I get this all the time because I am tall. He said, and he's a pretty short guy. He says, man, you're pretty tall. How tall are you? And I just heard that 1,000 times.
I don't think asking somebody how tall they are is instigating.
I got up and I told everybody what I had to think, what I thought about that, and I drove away.
Kathy Jesse is suing psychic Leon Legant for loans to take spiritual vacations. Kathy claims Leon has yet to pay the money back.
All rise. Quiet, please.
Your Honor, case number 21 on the calendar in the matter of Jesse versus Legant. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat.
According to what I read in the complaint several years ago, you knew Mr. Legant, who was a psychic reader?
Yes, Your Honor.
And he owns a psychic school?
Correct.
How long had you known him?
I first met him in 1998.
How?
I saw an advertisement of his in a newspaper.
And have you been using him for readings since?
Counseling, yes.
What particular training do you have?
Clairvoyant training of a 1-year intensive, 3 years of teacher's training. I have over 6 years of training. I also have my certificates if you'd like to see those.
In any event, you wanted to take a trip. Mr. Legant was interested in going. We discussed that he didn't have the money. According to you, you loaned him the money to go, and the understanding was that he would pay you back either in cash or readings.
True.
He went on the trip. For a while, he did, in fact, pay you back by doing readings. Somebody would keep a record of, I assume, of how much each reading was, and you would check off how much was left on the debt. At some point, he missed a scheduled appointment.
Well, actually, Your Honor, he was making payments also. There was no set schedule for our appointments. It was whenever we decided.
So he was paying in cash as well?
Actually, yes. That was mostly the agreement.
In check and or cash?
He would deposit it directly into my account, and sometimes he paid in cash, and sometimes he wrote a check. I have the deposit slips.
I'd like to see them.
Sure.
You mean he had your bank account number?
Well, yes.
Did you have a social relationship with him?
Well, it wasn't very friendly in terms of a social relationship. I mean, we knew each other professionally, and I trusted him as a teacher and my mentor.
All right, so I see you made some payments to her.
That's correct.
So you consider this a loan?
No.
Well, what was it for?
It was a donation.
No. What was the money that you paid her?
That was the interest. Initially, this is the third trip I've been on with Miss Jessie.
We're talking about only this one, sir.
Okay. So in this case, Miss Jessie wanted me to go on a second trip to the Philippines. I clearly explained to her that that was not something I could afford. So she decided to make a donation to the school so that the school could sponsor my trip. In exchange for that donation, she was to receive hours of readings. The payment she received was when she asked for me to cover the interest on her visa. And I agreed to do that. I was grateful for the donation. I was grateful for the donation. I have the donation right here. I have the check.
Can I see it, please?
Sure. It says donation with a big smiley face.
Were these paid out of a private account or the school account?
It was paid out of the school's account.
So all these checks were school checks?
Mm-hmm.
None yours?
Right.
You're not very clairvoyant, sir. Show this to the defendant, please. That's not the school's account, is it?
Oh, no. I may have used my own account to make a check payment. That's entirely possible.
What?
You didn't see that one coming, did
What?
you?
You didn't see that one coming at all? Show him this one. Your account or the school's account?
That's my account.
One more. Uno más on this page.
Also my account. Your Honor, the...
Stop! I'm not going to read your account number, sir, but it also appears that when cash was deposited directly into her account, it was deposited directly into her account with the same numbers on the accounts that were on these checks.
Can I see that?
Yes, certainly. Here you go.
Huh, that's interesting. Because when I called the bank to get copies of this so that I would know in preparation for you, they explained to me there was no way to trace that information.
Well, you do see what I'm looking at, don't you?
I do see what you're looking at. And the agreement I had with her was to pay the interest on her card.
All I'm asking you is whether the cash and the checks that she ascribes to this loan came out of the school's account or out of your personal account.
Right.
So you would be saying now that it came out of your personal account.
Obviously.
Obviously.
I believe there were others that were taken from the school's
I'm
account.
looking to see yours.
And
you have
like
any
I
proof?
said, the bank said
Listen,
they couldn't
no.
trace this
No,
information.
listen to me, sir. Listen to me. Show me any checks that you have from the school to pay her.
I don't have those.
I do, however, see some checks, sir, that just say Bank of America, and it looks like they're from a different account.
That's right.
So sometimes you paid out of your personal account, and sometimes you paid out of the school account. You're getting my drift, sir.
Not fully.
Well, when you have a business and you start commingling money as to what is a business expense and what is not, you have a serious problem. And clearly, in looking over this paperwork, it appears to me as if you were commingling what you considered a business expense with a private debt. The IRS doesn't like that. You should know that.
I did what I could to make sure she received her interest payments in a timely manner.
Don't you make a living from this company?
Yes, I do.
Then you should have paid her. Not commingled funds. That's a very bad thing, Mr. LeGrant. With commingled funds, the IRS is going to come and get you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I left him a voicemail saying that, I think that this was unfair, and at which point he sent me an email.
I would like to see the copy
Sure.
of the email that you sent to her.
I was very angry.
And later today,
I hit the throttle, and the whole transom, what the motor's mounted to, almost broke right off the boat. And the gas tank came completely disconnected and spilled gas all over the floor of the boat.
Kathy Jessie claims psychic Leon Legant borrowed money from her and never paid it back. Leon says The loan was repaid with free psychic readings. He is countersuing for slander.
Can you tell me what happened that precipitated this lawsuit?
He had made his last payment in November, and in December he promised me a payment on December 20th. And I was counting on that, and it was Christmas time, and I didn't get the payment. And I had an appointment with him scheduled for the 22nd, which I was going to discuss the matter with him, and then he didn't show up for the appointment and didn't let me know.
Does he come to your house, or do you go to his
No, it's a
school?
telephone. It's a telephone.
It's a telephone?
Yes, we hardly ever see each other in person. And so I left him a voicemail saying that, I think that this was unfair and I should be treated better. And at which point he sent me an email saying that he really thought that was the most mean, vicious thing anybody had ever said to him. And he really, literally never talked to me again.
What did she say on the voicemail?
She was incredibly ugly. I never finished both voicemails because it was too irate and too mean, too vicious, attacking everything she could think of and everything she knew about me. Basically what happened in the beginning of December, I was still working with her and giving her readings. She explained to me that she lost her job, she was afraid she was going to lose the mortgage on her house, that she was in an incredibly strapped financial position. She began asking me if I could borrow money from my aunt to pay this balance off, and I explained to her that the agreement was an exchange of readings. This was not
Well,
a
that's
loan.
not true, sir. That's not true, because there were payments made both out of the school's account and out of your personal account.
That was
to her.
interest.
That's what you say. That's not what I find. Keep going.
So she was explaining all of this to me. I explained to her that this was not the agreement, this was not what I was going to do. She pressured me for a number of weeks. She did ask me to make a payment on the 20th in December because 25th was a Sunday and also Christmas. I explained to her that I get paid on a certain date, it takes a number of days to clear the bank. I'll do the best I can to try to do that, but that may not happen. And that went in one ear, right out the other.
All right, good. Did you make a payment in January?
I did not make a payment in December.
Did you make a payment in January?
Or
is my
January,
question.
or since.
Right. Why not?
Because she threatened to sue me.
She didn't sue you in January, did she?
No, she filed, actually on January 20th, I was on the way to the bank because she had left these voicemails. I wasn't sure how I was supposed to handle this situation, and I told her that I would get back to her in January.
Well, so you were sort of jerking her around.
No.
Because you didn't pay the amount in December, because you said you get paid on a certain day, and you don't know whether it'll clear and whatever. All right, so you don't pay a December 20th, you don't pay a December 23rd. There's December 27th, December 28th, December 29th, December 30th, December 31st. She doesn't hear from you until January 20th?
No, she received an email from me explaining that I felt her messages were incredibly mean and
Well,
that
show me
I
the
would...
you have the email? I would like to
Yeah,
see the copy
sure.
of the email that you sent to her.
I was very angry.
People who owe money usually are angry. Okay, so they were the meanest, cruelest, etc. Her two voice messages, and you choose to cut her off and not have anything to do with her until the holidays are over in December, because you don't want to be bothered during the holidays
Because
with
my
any
mom
bad
was in a serious
with any bad
accident.
vibrations. And I'll let you know how I plan to handle the future in January. Well, what'd you do at the beginning of January, sir? The holidays are over.
Yeah, I was thinking about how to handle the situation. I wasn't sure how to do that. The 20th was coming by in January. I decided
what,
to
the
make
20th?
it the 20th of January.
Well, so you were thinking between January 2nd and January 20th.
That's right.
Let me hear you counterclaim, Mr. LeGrand.
After Miss Jessie complained about this December incident, she did request communication from me. I did say that I would communicate with her in January about the situation. Before I had a chance to do that, she went to my website. She scoured through all of the emails, addresses, everything she could get, and began emailing everybody from clients, students, about the situation. Very, very crazy emails.
Well, show me.
Sure. Here's one she sent to the travel agent. I'll give you all of them. And also, as far as missed appointments, that has happened in the past.
I'm not interested in that. All she does is talk to whoever she talks to about the fact that you owe her money.
These are my students
Who
that
cares?
she ripped off my website.
Who cares? Shouldn't have had him on your
It
website.
has
If he'd
none
want...
of their business.
Listen to me. She's entitled to do that. She doesn't slander you, sir. She says that you have an honest dispute with her. She believes you owe her money, and you are not paying her the money that you owe her. She doesn't say anything scandalous about you. You may not like it, but she doesn't say anything that's actionable. Can you please explain to me how a school professing to be spiritual and ethical can attempt to steal this money loaned in good faith? That's the way she feels.
Yeah, it wasn't a loan.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you something, sir. I am the final arbiter of that, and I'm telling you that it was a loan. It was a loan because you repaid it. And you not only repaid it, you repaid it, some of it out of your funds and some of it out of school funds, which you can't do.
That's not correct.
Listen. Some of the people that you deal with, Mr. LeGrand, may revere you as being some sort of spiritual leader. I guarantee you, I'm not one of those people. All right? I'm telling you, you went on a trip, you slept, you ate, you took a plane, you, not the spirits, your body took the plane to the Philippines and had a nice trip. Pay for it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,697. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I missed an appointment.
I think that he has some talent,
She decided to use that as an excuse to refuse readings and demand money.
but that he needs to work a little bit more on his character.
Oh, I want to have nothing to do with her.
I think he's his own worst enemy, and he's on a self-destructive course.
Gloria Ross is suing her former co-worker, Kevin Baum, for damages resulting from false charges of an assault. Kevin says he stands by his accusation.
All rise.
That's case number 75 on the calendar, the matter of Ross versus Baum.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Miss Ross, you and the defendant worked together for a period of time. According to your complaint, you became his supervisor at some point, and you lost that particular job. You were demoted and transferred out of that location as a result of what you claim to be false charges of assault that were filed by Mr. Baum. How long did you work together, Miss Ross?
I started in July 1st, so we worked together ever since then.
July 1st of 2005?
Correct.
And what kind of business is it?
It's an adult novelty bookstore.
When did you start working there?
August of 2002.
And what was your job there?
Clerk.
And yours?
I was sales clerk when I first started.
And when were you promoted?
On February 9th.
And you became what?
Manager.
And when was this alleged assault?
4/18/06.
So, Mr. Baum, I'm going to come to you. I'd like you to tell me your version of the events of 4/18, since you were the complainant in that case.
Okay. On that morning, she came into the store. I was arranging DVDs. She came up to the desk. She started to go towards to get to the money. I came up from the side, and I started to talk to her about the schedule that she had given me. This has been a constant battle of schedules since she became manager.
Why?
I have no idea. I had worked the same schedule for 3 years, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, from 9 o'clock p.m. till 10 o'clock a.m. For some reason, she thought I didn't need that schedule anymore and started scheduling me at times that she knew I was not able to work and not able to be there.
Why couldn't you be there?
Because I have a car problem. I only have one car. There's two of us that have to work the same schedule.
Okay, so you started to have a discussion about the scheduling.
Right.
When had she given you the latest schedule?
That one popped up that night.
Okay.
Two of them. There were two of them, and that was the whole problem. She had put two schedules out to purposely bait me so that the next time I came in, she would get me as a no-call, no-show and try to fire me. She had tried to fire me since the day she started as manager. The first day she came in, started to berate me in front of customers that if I was not on her side and I was not going to be on her team, she would be getting rid of me. So that campaign started from the very day one.
Can I see the schedule that was given to you? Well, I see you worked on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday were your days that you had been working for the 3 years.
That was my permanent schedule before then.
Okay, and then we have Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. That was 1 week. And then you had one Sunday, but again, that was from 10 to 4, and Friday from 5 to 12. Am I reading that correctly? Miss Ross, this is 1 or 2 schedules.
Right.
But from what Mr. Baum tells me, the problem with the schedule had been an ongoing problem.
No.
Not just these 2 weeks.
No, ma'am.
Are you telling me you never changed his schedule from Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 9 p.m. to 10 a.m. other than these 2 times?
Correct. Easter weekend and then a weekend
maybe 2 weeks prior to that. Those are the only 2 times I changed Mr. Baum's schedule.
Did you discuss that with him?
No, I did not.
She never discussed anything with me.
Just a second. So you came around to discuss the schedule that had not been discussed with you before. This schedule.
Right.
What happened?
You open up these cupboards that are behind the register, and they're about this size. I came up and I opened up the schedule, and she started just talking gibberish while she was standing there, and I said, well, can you make any sense? Why are you putting these 2 schedules up here? Which one am I supposed to go? And as I turned to go to get the schedules, she said, I'm sick of your whatever, and she just hit me right across the face. She was trying to bait me into hitting her. This was her last resort to try to get rid of me.
When you say, Mr. Baum, that she hit you across the face, what you did was go like this. That's what you did.
Sure.
So is what you're telling me that she hit you with an open hand like that?
At first I didn't know. At first I thought she hit me with keys.
Well, this is what you did. What you did was you didn't say she hit me or she hit me. You said she hit you.
Right. I have pictures to show it.
Before you show me the pictures, that's what you told me she did. She went like this.
Right.
Is that what she did?
Well, with her fingernails, yes.
Well, you didn't show me with fingernails, sir. That's not what you showed me. You showed me with your hand, like that. Let me see the pictures. Go ahead.
Then she just started running. She went into the other room. There was another gentleman there who also takes care of things in the back room, and she brought him out, and I called the 911, and I called her supervisor at the time, and he told me just to go outside and wait for the police. So the other gentleman and I went outside, and this entire time while we were watching and waiting for the police, she was up at the register dancing and singing to herself, "Kevin's fired, Kevin's fired."
Okay, let me hear your version of the events, madam.
Okay, ma'am. 4:18, I came in. I was running late. I clocked in at 9:07. I have the time card for that. First priority of business, I have to do the banking. Immediately sat down in front of the safe, which is located in the floor, started retrieving the money from the safe. That's when Kevin, he wasn't in front at first. He comes up, like he said, he opens the door where the schedules are kept. He asked me, what schedule are we going by? I said, the one on the top. Still retrieving the money, and I didn't even look up at him. Then he said, I know, but there's another one underneath. Which one are we going by? I said the one on the top. That's exactly how I said it. And then after I said that, he was like, well, what the F does that matter? And da-da-da-da-da. So I stopped and I looked. I was still sitting on the floor. I looked back at him and I was like, who do you think you're talking to? And he was like, that doesn't ever matter. So I said, you know what? You're fired. Get out. As soon as I said that, he reached for the phone, dialed 911 and said, help, help, my manager just attacked me. And I'm still sitting on the floor where the safe is. I sat there for a couple seconds, listened to his conversation. Kind of was funny to me at first because he was really performing. Then I got up after he was on the phone with 911 for a couple seconds. I'm like, I better go get the guy that was in the back. I go to the back, I start screaming his name, which you can hear on the 911 tape, and I told him to come up and see if Kevin's been hit. So when he finally comes up, I come back and I start getting the money still out of the safe. I sit back down and get the money out of the safe. Him and Kevin is talking. He says to me, he has a scratch on his face. I said, go get the tape, because I wasn't finna argue with him at that point. So he retrieved the tape. By that time, the police came up. The police officer came in, talked to me. Then he asked me what the company wanted to do. I told him that they wanted...
Don't tell me anybody said to you. You have a tape of this?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it, please.
Gloria Ross claims former co-worker Kevin Baum falsely accused her of slapping him. Kevin is countersuing for the assault in question.
Have you seen this tape, Mr. Baum?
Yes.
Well, I see you coming in, looking at the schedule. I see her on the floor.
He picks the phone up right there. He's talking to 911 right now.
That's when she did it right there.
Right where?
He pissed the phone down.
Just a second. Would you play that for me again?
There's also a 3-second delay in between all of that.
I see her on the floor, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, Mr. Baum. She didn't get up from the floor when you picked up the phone.
Well, that
Mr.
isn't
Baum,
exactly...
She didn't get up from the floor at the time that you picked up the phone.
Well, I didn't even know if she was actually off the floor. You're talking about a space like right here.
Just a second. You have the call that he made to 911?
Yes. and he's stating
I'd like to hear it.
that I'm beating him while he's on the phone.
Hello, please come and help me. I've been attacked. Okay, when I boss just bashed me in the face. Were you robbed, sir? No, I was hit by my boss. Okay, you need any kind of medical attention? No, I don't think so. I don't know yet. Okay, and she's still there? Yes, she is. Tony! Okay, police have been notified. Oh, thank you. Bye.
Okay. As a result of the telephone call to the police, were you taken into custody?
No, I was not.
Okay. So the damages that you are alleging were that you were taken out of that store and sent to a different location.
Yes.
You have any confirmation of the fact that the reason you were moved from one location to another were as a result of this incident?
No, I don't. I just have the dates that I didn't get moved until this happened.
Ms. Ross, you see, this is your problem. I believe that you did not assault him. I believe that. Why do I believe that? Because you were sitting on the floor, and there's no question, based upon what I saw, you did not get up from the floor and were in any position to go like this, which resulted, according to the defendant, in a scratch that would have been like this to his face, something that it could have easily been accomplished by himself. I also don't believe that someone who is being attacked picks up the phone right near the attacker to call the police. They would exit the store as fast as they could, try to get away before they called for help. Because when you call 911, that means that you are in imminent danger. And he was not in imminent danger because he was standing right there with you. When it was clear, he could have just left the area. He chose not to do that. So I have serious reservations as to whether or not he was the victim of an attack. Your problem is the problem of damages, because I would have to have the supervisor, owner of your store, to say that the reason you were demoted was based on this incident solely. And you can't testify to that because that would all be hearsay. Do you understand?
Right.
So your problem is one of proof.
Okay.
Clear?
Yes.
As to what your damages were.
Okay.
Okay, good. You have a counterclaim, Mr. Bauman. Your counterclaim is for assault and lost wages because you were suspended, right?
Correct.
Good. That's dismissed, sir. I believe that this was a whole lot of who shot John and a whole lot of nothing. And I don't believe that this lady assaulted you. And she may not have been a good supervisor, and she may have been giving you the business from the time she became your supervisor. She may have changed your schedule. She may not have liked you. But I don't believe she assaulted you on the 18th of April. So your counterclaim's dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Truth came out, and hopefully Kevin will know better not to try this with nobody else.
Oh, she's been trying to get rid of me forever because, I don't know.
He tried to goat me, but it didn't work.
She knew exactly what she was doing when she did it.
He's been there for 2 years. I've been there for 8 months. I became the manager. He's still a sales clerk. You do the math.
She's a bitter woman, and she wants to make everyone like that around her.
28-year-old Nicole St. Marie is suing ex-fiancé Michael Diaz for the cost to pay off his attorney fees.
Come to order, all rise.
Now, this is case number 14 on the calendar in the matter of St. Marie versus Diaz.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated.
Miss St. Marie, you and Mr. Diaz lived together for how long?
Roughly about 3.5 years.
And at some point, I gather, you purchased a home.
Yes, I did.
When?
I purchased a home in October of '01. I bought it on my own.
Just a second. Were you dating at that point?
Yes, we were.
Okay. When you purchased the home, where had you been living just prior to that?
Prior to that, in an apartment with my son.
Not with him?
No.
Now, when you purchased the house in October of 2001, did Mr. Diaz move in with you?
Yes, he did.
So that was the plan?
Yes.
And you put down the down payment on the house?
Yes, I did.
Fine. Was Mr. Diaz working?
Yes, he was.
What kind of work were you doing in 2001, sir?
At that point in time, I was a fire life safety supervisor.
You earning a living?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
You were contributing to the household?
Absolutely.
How much?
Everything was halfway down the line.
Is that right?
No, it's not.
What wasn't?
He paid me rent, half.
Just a second. He paid you how much a month?
He paid me roughly $650 a month in rent.
Actually, I have receipts.
Just a second. Miss St. Marie, I will categorize it as whatever I want to categorize it as. I know you're going to say rent from today till tomorrow.
Yes.
You were living together. You were sharing a bedroom.
Yes.
You were sharing a life together.
Yes.
All right. So don't categorize it as rent. He was contributing to the household, according to you, $650 a month. Would he give that to you by check or cash?
By check.
Were you doing anything else in the household other than contributing this $650 a month?
Yes, ma'am. The amount does exceed $650, which I do have all the receipts on.
I'd like to see it, please. The reason for these questions will become clear, Ms. St. Marie, because it is your claim that during the course of the relationship, Mr. Diaz had some difficulty with ex-wife over child support.
It was actually child custody, ma'am.
Or child custody, whatever it was. And you needed a lawyer. And according to you, Ms. St. Marie, you loaned him the money for a lawyer.
No, I did not.
Well, in effect, you did, because you went to the lawyer, you co-signed for him to get a lawyer, and he ended up not paying, so you paid the lawyer.
Correct.
And you want him to reimburse you.
Correct.
And that was, I think, $3,500?
Correct.
He paid you some?
None.
Okay. And when was that?
That was this past December.
Okay, so you actually lived in the house for about 4.5 years.
No. He moved out in November of '04, but we were still seeing each other up until April of '05.
Did you move out in November of 2004, sir?
I'm not exactly sure the date, but I know it was roughly in that time frame. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I've got the...
Shh.
Yes, ma'am.
How much, Miss St. Marie, was your mortgage on your house?
It was roughly about $1,470.
Okay. Let me tell you what his defense is. His defense is that when you moved into the house together, while the house was purchased by you, he was making half the mortgage payment on the house, which clearly I have checks here which amount to half the mortgage payment. And it was your agreement that if anything happened between the two of you, that he was reducing your mortgage so that he would get some benefit from that should you sell the house. That's your defense, really.
Yes, ma'am.
So you walked away from the relationship without anything. You sold the house. What did you purchase the house for? What amount?
$165.
And what did you sell the house for?
$350.
So you had a healthy profit.
Yes.
When did you sell the house?
November of '04.
Right after he moved out.
That's why he moved out. I was trying to end the relationship for a very long time.
Oh, okay. He moved out when
And
you
he wouldn't
sold.
leave.
Just a second. He moved out when you sold the house.
Correct.
Okay. Did you have a discussion with him at that time about any profits from the house?
No.
That's a farce.
Well, tell me about the conversations, Mr. Diaz.
Our initial agreement when we bought that house was bought under her name.
Her name.
But both of our incomes at that time. It was a stated income. So they asked for my income paperwork as well.
Excuse me,
okay.
Judge, that's
Okay. I moved out of my apartment. I moved into the apartment with her because she had a large apartment with her son. And then from there, we moved into the house. From that point on, I paid halfway down the line. The house needed a ton of work. I'm well versed in all manners, as far as contract.
I see that you paid for half the mortgage, sir.
The other checks that are at a different angle, ma'am, are also showing that I also paid for some of the electrical bills. And if you look, the writing is very neat. She physically wrote those checks out. I just signed my name to them. And it also states on those gas, water, trash bills, whatever.
You wrote out all these checks?
If my name's on, if it's in my writing, then yeah, I did.
Right. You wrote out all these checks.
For the most part, ma'am, anytime she needed something, she would fill them out.
City of Long Beach. Who lives in Long Beach?
That's where our home was.
Our residence was in the city of Long Beach at the time.
Okay. Verizon, City of Long Beach, half the house payment. This is in your
Yeah, but how
handwriting.
long do those go on for? Because
they go
for
on
3.5
years.
years, it was like pulling teeth to get money from him.
Whether it was pulling teeth or not. Listen, Ms. St. Marie, he does not have a counterclaim, but what he's saying is you had an agreement, and your agreement was that he was contributing to the household, and you were putting money into an account. So you were clearly taking the money that you wrote on his personal checks and putting it into your account.
But does he include the fact that I had credit card bills and stuff that were used for getting Christmas gifts for his son, to do birthday parties, to anything that we ever did together that went on my credit cards? I had credit card bills, but you don't see anything there that he's paying for my credit card bills.
Well,
he's
I don't know
helping
if
out
he had,
with
just
utilities.
a second, I don't know if he had any credit cards.
He doesn't.
Actually, I don't. I try to keep things, on the,
Because his credit's
paid
horrible.
it straight across.
That's why.
What
if you look,
is something...
That's why he couldn't
who
get
owns
his
a
name on the
Chrysler
house?
automobile?
She does. That was for when she got a car. I gave $1,000 down for the car.
Okay, and I put $2,500 down on your car.
Is that right?
I think it actually was $2,000.
No.
And I paid back a portion of that.
Where is your check for that?
For the paybacks?
Yeah.
I think it might have been cash or whatnot. I don't.
Now I
honestly
don't
have
believe
it.
you. Now you're talking through your hat.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You wanted him out. The relationship was over. You sold the house and gave him nothing.
Yeah, because
so what
I
he's
was
saying,
scared for my safety. That's why I left.
I don't care whether you were fearing for your safety or not. We're talking business here.
And later today,
Under no theory of law that I know of is a car for a 17-year-old a necessity. That's what they have legs for.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Nicole St. Marie says ex-fiancé Michael Diaz owes for attorney fees. Michael says Nicole kept the proceeds from the sale of their house.
And Mr. Diaz, I want you to tell me, sir, about this lawyer. What did you need a lawyer for?
I needed a lawyer because she sat there and she said I shouldn't have to put up with that kind of thing. She'd already gone through something similar with her son and her son's father. So we went in. I proceeded with the court case. She went in with me from the very beginning. She said she would help me out along the lines.
Just a second.
Okay,
Did
ma'am.
you sign for the lawyer?
We both actually signed for the lawyer.
I didn't ask you that.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you sign for the lawyer?
Yes, I did.
So it was your obligation.
Yes, it was my obligation.
It was your obligation. It was
Yes,
your
ma'am.
kid,
Yes, ma'am.
your custody, your lawyer.
Yes, ma'am.
You signed for it, but the lawyer wasn't satisfied with just your signature, Mr. Diaz.
No, ma'am.
Wanted somebody to co-sign.
And why?
Which she readily
Just
agreed
a
to.
second. Not speaking to you. I don't think that he totally played it fair with him, quite honestly. I don't. His only problem is he doesn't have a countersuit. If he had a countersuit, I might deal with this differently, because I do believe that when you moved in together, you had an arrangement, and your arrangement was that you were treating this house as your joint property, even though it was only in your name, that he was giving you half the mortgage payment. You signed for half the mortgage payment when you wrote out the checks. The checks are in your handwriting, not rent. It doesn't say rent, Miss St. Marie. It says half the mortgage payment. So I believe that that was your agreement. I don't know why he failed to pursue that when you sold the house and doubled your money.
I just wanted to wash my hands of it, ma'am.
Okay. He wanted out, and he said, listen, she got a good profit for the house.
That's why I have something that said he didn't want to leave.
Whether he didn't want to leave or not, that doesn't make any difference, madam. You're not following what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you had an agreement with him. And your agreement was, even though the house was in your name because he had clearly lousy credit, I'm glad you finished my sentence, that you had an agreement with him, and your agreement was that you were going to build a life together. If you ever broke up or sold the house, you would do something with the profits from this house because you were equally putting in money and reducing the mortgage. And you chose not to do that. You wanted him out. The relationship was over. You sold the house and gave him nothing.
Yeah, because
so what
I
he's
was
saying,
scared for my safety. That's why I left.
I don't care whether you were fearing for your safety or not. We're talking business here. And the business is you had an agreement with him, which I believe you did, to give him some of the proceeds of the house because he was contributing to the house. According to you, he's paying half the mortgage payment. You sold that house and you doubled your money and you gave him nothing. So he's saying, well, I got nothing out of the time that I was living there, so she should pay the $3,500 for my lawyer. Mr. Diaz, if you had filed a counterclaim or if you did something positively in 2004 to pursue your claim, you might have a leg to stand on. You chose not to do that. So you can't come in as a Johnny-come-lately and say, well, going back 2 years now, she should have given me some of the money from the house, and I'm going to write off the lawyer. The lawyer was your responsibility. She paid for the lawyer, for your child, for your custody case, with a promise by you to pay the lawyer. You chose not to do that and to obligate her to do that. You cannot do that, sir.
I paid the majority of the lawyer, ma'am. The
Show me.
additionals.
Can I add to that? The reason why I co-signed was because I was asked to. I've never had an attorney before.
Show me your payment to the lawyer.
At the time, I was refinancing my current house.
Show me.
So my mother
Show
paid.
me the payment that you made to his lawyer.
There's one that my mother did because I was refinancing, and a check that I wrote my mother back for it when my refinance was over.
What's your lawyer's name, sir?
Judy.
That's it. Well, clearly she paid the lawyer $3,500 in order to settle this claim.
The agreement was between them was actually $1,700.
You have a copy of the agreement you signed? I'd like to see it.
All I have is them saying that I fulfilled my judgment
No,
and
I
one
want
from
to
the
see.
court.
I want to see the copy of the agreement.
I have these, and it says that it was a higher amount at the time, and we settled so I could get my name off of it and get it taken care of.
I want to see what you signed.
This is right here, North Center pre-mediation agreement, and then these as well are also part of it. I think the lawyer kept a lot of the initial paperwork.
Well, he got a judgment against you. $46.88.
That's why we settled in mediation, because I couldn't have a judgment on my case. That's something that would have followed me around for a long time.
Fine. So you settled for $3,500.
Correct.
Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,500. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm a woman that loves kids. I wanted to take care of him. We were engaged to be married.
The engagement fell through because she is someone that is insecure and has multiple issues.
He also had domestic violence against him.
It's a lie. It's a blatant lie.
And he was also verbally and physically abusive with me.
I am not the person she played me out to be.
I just couldn't handle it anymore, and I wanted me and my son out.
I've got letters and up to, the last 6 months that, saying that she still wanted me back.
Everything that he's done to take advantage of women and get them to pay for his bills, I hope that one day that all comes around and kicks him.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Didia versus Quitec, step forward, please.
Deborah Didia is suing the father of her grandchildren, 23-year-old George Quitec, for vandalizing her car. Deborah says during a fight with her daughter, George slammed the dashboard with his fist.
Mr. Didia, this is your daughter's former boyfriend, and it is your claim that he is responsible for ruining the dashboard on your car. He was in the car. You were not in the car. In the car was Mr. Quitec and your daughter.
Yes.
He was the passenger. She was the driver. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Why don't you sit down? Daughter, stand up. We'll see if there's first any liability, and then if there is, we'll find out what the damages were. Jessica, how long were you and George a couple?
3 years.
Now, this whole argument, I gather, in the car, which was on what date?
It was sometime in March.
Give me a date.
March 9th.
Thank you, George. This argument started, Jessica, I gather from George, because you had used a cell phone and ran up a bill of almost $900. Is that right, George?
Yes, ma'am.
And your mother was paying that bill?
No, I was.
But it's your mother's,
It was in my mother's name.
It was
Yes,
in your
ma'am.
mother's name. So you were initially annoyed about the use
I
of
was
this.
very upset, ma'am.
Very upset. And I don't blame you. What kind of stupidity is that to rack up a $900 phone bill?
Actually, it wasn't $900, and
how much was it?
It was. I was only over my minutes, like only a little bit, and we shared a family plan between me, him, his brother, and his sister, and between all of us, we racked up the bill. It wasn't just my cell phone.
What was yours?
Mine was probably about $100 over.
I mean, are you in business or anything? Is there any reason why you were $100 over your cell phone?
No, it was probably just text messages.
39 cents, you could send a letter. In any event, on March 9th, you had just gotten this bill. You were very annoyed. You were in the car with her. She was on the phone while driving. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. We had stopped to get...
She was on the phone while she was driving?
Yes, ma'am.
Was she actually moving when she was on the phone?
No, actually, we stopped at the gas station. She was on the phone, and then we started driving away, and that's when I told her to get off the phone. I was very rude about her getting off the phone, which is why we got into the argument.
You were rude?
Yes,
you
ma'am.
said something like, get off the...
effing phone, yes, ma'am.
So you didn't think I was that hip? Hip, whatever it is. Whatever it is that I am. And she said to you...
Don't talk to me like that.
So what did you do, Jessica?
Well, at the time, I was speaking to my mother on the phone. I was having an important conversation.
About what?
About my children.
You have children?
We have 2 kids together.
How old are your children?
One's 21 months and one's 9 months.
How old are you?
19. Well, I was having a conversation with my mother on the phone, and...
Well, just a second. Where were you coming from?
His mother's house.
What were you doing there?
Dropping my children off.
What day of the week was this?
It was a Tuesday.
What time?
Around 11.
A Tuesday at 11. Is that your day off?
No, ma'am. I was laid off from work due to the weather.
So why weren't you out collecting cans? You have 2 children.
I was...
You're just a... The answer is you never thought of it until I mentioned it to you. And it's a Tuesday at 11 o'clock in the morning. Were you off from work?
Well, we were going to look for an apartment, so yes, I was off work.
What kind of work do you do?
I was working with my mom doing payroll.
Doing payroll for what?
For companies. I do payroll data entry at her office.
She pays you, or the company pays you?
The company pays me.
Check or cash?
Check.
How much do you earn a week?
Probably about $300.
What do you do with the money?
I save it, and I pay bills with it.
Who takes care of your children?
His mother.
When he told you to get off the phone and was rude, did you hit him?
No.
What did you do?
At first, I hung up the phone with my mother, and I pulled over the side of the road because he was screaming and flipping out, and I wasn't going to tolerate that while I was driving. I pulled over, and I told him to get out of my car, and that's when he decided that he was going to bash my dashboard in.
Is that what happened, George?
To some extent.
Finish it.
Well, I didn't bash the dashboard. I just slammed my fist on the dashboard and caused a little crack on it and dented it a little bit. But what happened was she was driving and she yelled at me back, and she was driving recklessly. She pulled off the side of the road in an irrational manner and told me to get out the car. I told her I wasn't getting out of the car because I wasn't going to get stranded miles from home. And that's when she pursued to argue with me and run around the car, tell me to get out, ran inside the diner to call the cops. And at that point, that's when I decided to leave.
When Jessica got off the phone, she got really angry at me and started hitting and punching me. How come you left that out? Was that not important to you?
Well, it
or was
wasn't.
that a lie? Listen to me, George.
Yes, ma'am.
Look at me. Did you leave that out because when you wrote this, it wasn't true?
No, ma'am, it is true.
So why didn't you tell me that?
I don't think it was that important to the case.
At that point, I had every right to hit her back. However, I would never do that. That's your whole defense.
Yes, ma'am. That's when I turned and hit the dashboard.
I don't owe Deborah any money for the damaged dashboard. Her daughter was the one who instigated the incident. She was the one who started hitting me first. She's lucky that I'm not the type of man who would hit a woman. That was your whole defense. How come you left that out?
I have no idea.
You got to know how to do something, George, other than to make babies. Making babies is very easy.
Yes, ma'am.
Fish make babies, dogs make babies, cats make babies. Quiet! Polar bears make babies, parakeets make babies. That doesn't take any brains.
You're right.
Are you working now?
Yes, ma'am. I've been working for a year and a half in construction. Like I said, I was only laid off at the time because it was the winter time, and I was laid off because I work outside all day.
Are you two living together?
No.
Who are you living with?
I'm currently living with my mother until I leave to go into the Army.
And where are your children?
Living with me, with my mom.
And what's going to happen to them when you go into the Army?
My mom and their dad, George, decided that they wanted to share custody, and so they'll each take them for half the week until after I finish boot camp, and then they're going to come live with me.
Oh, you don't need any more babies, Jessica. You have enough children now for a very long time. Did your mother tell you that?
Yes.
Ditto. You have other children at home?
Yes, Your Honor.
How many?
I have 3 still living at home.
3? How old are they?
Two 17-year-olds and a 12-year-old.
How are you going to take care of these 2 babies when you have them?
Well, we own our own business, and me and my husband are going to take turns taking care of them, working opposite shifts during the day, and the other days his mom will have them. It's only for about 7 to 8 weeks.
Your mother stays at home?
Yes, ma'am.
Who supports the family?
My father does, and I do.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,622. That's all. Step out.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I can't argue with it because I broke the dashboard. She gets what she gets.
He has no self-control when he doesn't get what he wants.
She gets overzealous over everything.
He was just angry at the fact that I was speaking to my mom at the time, and he didn't want me to talk to her.
I think they were more money hungry than anything else.
So that's the reason why he was yelling for me to get off the phone. It had nothing to do with money.
The children, I'm going to be a good dad. That's all that matters.
We're getting along well, just for our kids.
When she takes them to the Army, I hope I'm still a part around.
Yeah, it's all about control.
Scott Whitmire is suing his ex-girlfriend, 25-year-old Margaret Lamprich, for the down payment on a car and for the return of his property.
All rise.
Now, this is case number 78 on the calendar in the matter of Whitmire versus Lamprich. You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Gentlemen, Miss, have a seat.
Mr. Whitmire, you and the defendant were involved in a relationship, and it is your claim that during the course of that relationship, you loaned her some money for a down payment on a car. In addition to that, she has some furniture that belongs to you in the apartment that you shared, and you want it back.
Yes.
The defendant says that the money that you did in fact give her for the car was just that, a gift. It was not a loan. It was not anticipated that that money would be returned. She says that any furniture left in the apartment was also a gift from you. And she has a counterclaim. And the counterclaim is that you keyed her car, causing damage to her car. She has estimates that were extensive. And that you promised that you would pay for rent. And even though you're not living in the apartment anymore, you should pay the rent. You do acknowledge that you keyed her car.
Yes.
There's some indication that you paid her for that.
Yes.
You met her, moved in practically immediately, according to you. Is that right?
Yes, they
Should
were.
have been your first clue. When did you give her this money for the car?
Let me look at the check. I think it was the February 12th.
Date.
What's
No,
that?
don't come
Oh,
up
I'm
here.
sorry.
Get to me, you got to go through Bird. Okay. So that was in February, $2,500.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Mr. Whitmire, while you were living with Miss Lamprick, how much rent were you paying?
I paid, I'll be honest, I paid
You're going to
about
be honest, sir,
3
because
months, 3 months of it. Like half the rent, so it would say $350, whatever it was, yeah.
for how many months?
For a duration of 6.
Show me.
I don't have nothing to show. I was giving her, she got a cashier's check, always paid it with, and I gave her the money.
I don't believe you.
Oh, well, okay.
What do you think about that?
Well, I got other things similar to the bills I paid with it.
Well, you got a lot of things. Show me proof of the rent. You do have a checking account,
Yeah.
right?
Well, we didn't write checks. She just paid
You
the
wrote a check.
But I didn't
Here's
pay
a
with
check.
The rent. Didn't pay the rent with the check.
Here's a check.
Yes.
What are the bills did you pay?
Her Sprint bills, her cable bill, which I didn't bring that.
I don't care about the bills.
Well, I mean, it
could
don't
get a
have
whole
no
bunch
name.
of
I
bills.
just got
I'll-
receipts. Yeah, that's all I have.
Well,
Sorry.
that's too bad.
Yeah.
It doesn't do it for me.
Right.
You get that?
Yes, I do.
He thinks it's amusing. Who did you bring here?
You know what? No, this is Brian.
He thinks this is amusing. It hasn't even started yet. It hasn't started. Okay. Now, how much rent did he pay?
I've paid.
Well, just a minute. Don't look down.
Okay.
It's a simple question. How much rent did he pay from August until February?
I think he actually might have paid half of it for 1 month.
Now, why did you let him stay there if he only paid it once?
We were in a relationship.
Was he working?
Yes.
What was he doing with his money?
He bought electronics and toys and a couple trucks.
A couple of trucks?
Yes, he had bought 2 different vehicles while we were together.
Did you buy them from a private individual or from a place?
Same dealership.
From a
Rollgate.
dealership.
Mhm.
You gave them a...
Check. Right.
Now, Miss Lamprish, just so I understand this, you want him to pay the rent in your apartment because he said he would, even after he moved out?
The back rent for the 7 months he lived in my apartment.
The back rent that you never asked him for while he was living there, month 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is that right? And the back rent that you didn't ask him for when he gave you the money for the car. Is that right?
Correct.
Forget it. Okay. Now, tell me about your version of this $2,500 car down payment, Mr. Whitmire.
Well, it started out, there was a car that she didn't want, a Cavalier, and so we had to have a bigger down payment for a better car. The car she got is a Seabreeze convertible. So they had to have a $3,500 down. She put $1,000, I had to put $2,500 down. I said I'd loan it to her, and I told him the same thing.
I don't care what you told him.
Well, I just gave her a loan for $2,500 for the car. That's,
In February.
yeah,
When did you and the defendant break up?
March 13th, exactly. I know the date.
And when was she supposed to return this $2,500?
Well, I just said pay whenever you can pay, a little at a time, you know.
Just
a
a second. Stop.
I'm sorry. Too much coffee.
You said pay it whenever you can pay it. Is that what you said to her?
Pay it, well, pretty fast. I mean, she was, I didn't know we were going to break up.
Is that what
Yeah.
you said to her? Pay it pretty fast.
Well,
I'm asking you about the $2,500.
I don't know exactly how I said it, but I said pay it back, yes.
And what did she say?
Thank you for the car, yeah. So basically.
Right. What's your name?
Brian.
You get it, Brian?
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. Right. He's his own worst enemy.
Yes, I know he is.
Yeah. Now let's get to your personal property.
Okay.
What?
You brought this guy as a witness.
Yeah, he did. What personal property do you say she has in the apartment that's yours?
Couch, every single thing, and put to her
Couch?
bed. Yeah. I have a list here. I give it to you. You want all the receipts too?
No.
No?
Just tell me. Couch?
Okay. Couch, just let's say everything in the apartment except her bed is mine.
You mean everything that was in the apartment you paid for?
Yeah. Which is everything, yeah.
Why didn't you take it when you left?
I had nowhere to go with it. At first, we broke up.
Just a
Long
second.
story. Okay.
Is that why you didn't take it? Because you had nowhere to go with it?
Right. I didn't have nowhere to put it until I got
So
my
what
house.
did you, just a second.
Okay.
So you left.
No, she kicked me out. I was kicked out, yeah.
She kicked you out.
Mhm.
And when she kicked you out, you had your clothes, you
Mhm.
had certain things, personal things you
Right.
took with you.
Some, yeah, yes.
You
Some.
took with you. And what did you say to her with regard to the other stuff that you left in the apartment?
I said I needed it back.
And what did she say to you?
She said, okay. Yes, she did say okay. At one time. But she never released it. She would never give it up.
Well, when did you go back for it?
I tried a few times.
Well, when? When was the first time you went back for it?
You mean dates? I'd say just...
Dates is what it usually when. It usually
Okay,
says date.
Let me think. About 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, 3 different times. Yeah.
So just 1 second.
Mhm.
So 3 to 4 weeks ago, you went back for the first time.
I've been there like 4 or 5 times since them 2 months.
Are you not hearing me, sir?
No, I didn't.
Are you take some sort of medication
Not
that I
today.
should know about?
No. No.
After she kicked you out,
Mhm.
she must have had what she considered a reason for that.
Mhm.
I can think of several. You went back and you got your property, but you left some things there.
Yes.
When, for the first time, did you call her and say, I want the rest of my stuff?
A bunch of times, to be honest. Yeah, she would never answer the phone or you can't call her. That's
Go
the
ahead.
problem.
I had an ex parte order granted, so yes, he did call me constantly.
What did he say constantly when he called? Did he want his furniture back?
No, he did not. I have letters stating that I can keep everything in the apartment.
Let me see.
All the receipts are in my name. But we had a police escort come to let him get his things out, and he walked through, took what he wanted, and even stated to the police officer, she can have anything else in there. I don't want anything else.
Well, he says you can have almost everything at your apartment. That's not everything.
He came and got what he wanted out of the apartment when we had the police escort there.
What did he leave?
Computer, desk, shelves.
Just a second. He left a computer. How old is the computer he left?
I have no idea it was his.
How old is the computer you
About
left?
2 years.
So you bought this computer 2 years ago?
Mhm.
And you brought it into the relationship with you, is that right?
Everything on my place, yeah.
Just a second.
Yes.
You brought it in with you. When
Yes.
he gets his computer back, what else did he leave?
Some just miscellaneous, little things.
Like what?
Like kitchen utensils and
Forget
things
kitchen
like that.
utensils.
And
What about furniture?
He replaced my furniture. He got rid of my furniture. And he had stated that this was my early Christmas present and that he was going to replace my furniture.
So you got rid of the other stuff?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that when you purchased the furniture? Before Christmas?
I'm going to say more in November.
So it was an early Christmas present. So she got
No,
rid
well,
of her
not early.
furniture.
I got it because...
Just a second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
She got rid of her other furniture.
Mhm.
Is that right?
Yes, we threw it away.
And you purchased other furniture.
Mm-hmm.
Good. That stays with her.
Okay.
Because otherwise she wouldn't have gotten rid of her other stuff.
Well, a cat smells like cat urine. That's why.
Well, that
Oh.
was her cat, I assume.
Oh, it's horrible. Oh.
Well, then you shouldn't, listen, if you didn't like the smell of the furniture, then you shouldn't have stayed in the apartment. But right now, sir, you don't tell somebody, I'm going to get you new furniture, just get rid of the old stuff.
Well-
I mean, I know you anticipated staying there. Based upon that promise, she got rid of the old stuff. And if you take your furniture back now, she has nothing.
So what?
Duh.
I don't
Okay, but he
care.
does get his computer back. Okay. Now, why did you key her car?
I was trashed and she was cheating on me. Yeah.
Well, you were no longer together.
Well, she didn't tell me that, so I didn't know.
You weren't living in the house.
No, not that. Well, like a couple days difference, yeah. Well, I just trashed my key her car, yeah. And I was on a bunch of painkillers. So I really don't know what the heck I was doing then.
I don't know what you're doing here.
Huh.
Did
Good
you give her the
question.
$2,000 to
Yes.
show me?
Okay. I gave $1,000 to her dad, and I gave her $1,000 when they came over to pick up the furniture. The guy who gave her the money from Aaron's, the place with couch.
What? Did you give her money
Yes,
to...
I gave her. I couldn't give it directly to her. I gave it to the delivery guy, and he handed it to her. And he signed statement, and he got his phone number on there, showing he did that.
I told him to take it back. He was served with the ex parte order that day, and he threw money into my apartment, and I said, take it, because he told me all he wanted was his big screen. He's like, I'll give you $1,000 if you let me take my big screen out of here so it doesn't have to go through court. I said, take your money, take your TV, I want to get this over with.
Listen to me. If you told him to take his money and take your TV, I just want to be finished with you, why are you suing him now?
I hadn't gotten estimates. I hadn't noticed my card been
Doesn't
keyed
make
till
any
after
difference.
this had happened.
What do you mean you hadn't noted? I don't care about estimates. Had he keyed your car at the time he gave you the money?
No.
Okay, when did he key your car?
The police report was filed April 10th.
I didn't ask you when the police
So
report
it
was
happened
filed. I
about
asked you when he keyed your car.
Happened about a week prior, so probably on the 3rd of April.
Afterwards, there was money handed to you by somebody who came in to make a delivery. Is that right?
I'm assuming.
Is that right?
Okay.
I'm asking you.
I don't believe so.
What do you mean you don't believe so?
I don't believe it was after he had keyed my car.
It was.
Okay.
What was the money for?
He said it was to take his TV out and not have it go through court to get his things.
What did you do with the money?
I used it to pay bills.
So you kept it. Use it to fix your car. John, you gave her the money
Yes,
for the
ma'am.
car
It was
key.
$2,000.
No question.
Okay.
Scott Whitmire claims ex-girlfriend Margaret Lamprich owes for a loan and the return of property. Margaret is countersuing, claiming Scott vandalized her car.
What else?
Stereo speaker, tower speakers.
Stereo speaker, that goes...
The desk, the shelves.
Desk? Are the shelves...
Microwave.
Listen!
Okay.
Got to stop taking all that stuff, sir. It's making you nervous. You understand?
Yes,
You're going
ma'am.
to spin around the room. It's not good for your heart.
Okay.
And Brian knows that, right, Brian?
He says so,
You
Judge.
head in
What?
my head.
Yes, Judge.
We can harness your energy. We could run Canada. Okay. She is not giving you the furniture so that she has no furniture because she got rid of the furniture based upon your assurance that you were replacing the furniture.
Okay.
There are certain things that you came into the apartment with that I am prepared to see that you get back.
Thank you.
Brian will retrieve them
Okay.
without you because there is a restraining order. Is Brian normal?
I have no idea. I've never met him in my life.
What do you do for a living, Brian?
What I do for a living? We work.
That was my question.
I work at a bar and restaurant
For how long?
for 14 years.
Same place?
Yes.
Relatively normal. Got it? Except for his choice of friends. Other than that, I think it would be okay if he came for the computer, the desk that the computer sits on, his stereo equipment, all of his office stuff. Within 5 days, or let's make it 5 days from today, you'll set up a time with Brian, who'll come over alone and get the stuff, right?
Sure.
Perfect. Thank you very much. That's all.
Please excuse. You may step out.
He was stalking me.
She's already violated restraining order, called me a couple times.
He'd show up at 3 o'clock in the morning drunk.
She'll probably be calling today, probably.
He's crazy.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Joza versus Witzel. Step forward, please.
26-year-old Laura Joza is suing bar patron 22-year-old Jason Witzel for the cost to fix her car. Laura claims Jason body slammed his friend into the vehicle.
Ms. Joza, the defendant, you believe, damaged your car while he was drunk in a parking lot of a bar. Your car at that time had been driven to work by your boyfriend. Is this the boyfriend?
Right.
You were not present when this happened.
I was not.
Were you present?
Yes, I was.
Step up, please. On what date did this incident happen with her car?
This was 1 o'clock in the morning on March 4th.
What's the name of the bar where you work?
It's called Little Pedro's. It's
What do you
on,
do there?
I work the front door, and my car was basically parked about 20 feet away from me.
Her car?
Or we live together. It's our car.
It's registered
just
in my name, but our car.
It's titled in your name?
It is.
And you are not married?
Well,
we've been living together 7 years, kind of. I don't know what that makes it.
Doesn't make it.
No. Well,
by my standards, but yeah, anyway. Go ahead.
Doesn't make it. So it's your car?
My car.
Well, basically what happened, he came out of the club, and as he came out, I can kind of tell him and his friends were a little riled up. I guess having a good time, but a little agitated for some reason. They walked down the way, and they actually were right in the side of my car. And all of a sudden, they just escalated into them wrestling each other. And at that moment, when I seen them wrestling, I was starting to walk over there. And as soon as I started going out of the door to go over there, he grabbed his friend that he was wrestling and slammed him into my vehicle. So I ran over there. As I was grabbing him, he swung, missed me, struck his friend right in the nose, was bleeding all over the place. And then I told him, you know, they're not coming into the club, that they're done. You guys definitely are over it. But about 10, 15 minutes later, I guess I was so adrenaline rushed at the time, I didn't notice that my car was damaged. And I looked, and I could see it in the light reflecting off the side of the vehicle that it was damaged right where they fell into it. So then I looked
around. Well, they
around.
didn't fall into it. According to you, Mr. Witzel body slammed his
friend into the car. He slammed his friend into the car, and his friend fell with his back onto the vehicle, and they both collided into the car with both of their force.
Got it. Okay.
And then what happened after that, he said he was going to be compliant with it. We filled out an incident report from the club that he signed, stating what happened, you know, what time, and all this.
Can I see it, please?
Sure. We also have pictures of the damage, if you'd like that.
I would.
Also have the insurance information that he gave us.
That was actually another kind of a weird thing about this case. He gave us an insurance card that he stated that it was his insurance, but it was actually just his AAA service.
He can't have insurance for this.
Yeah, I know,
they don't
but that's...
give insurance for this. Indicates that Jason, that would be you, is that right? Was so drunk he couldn't even write his name or number. So, let me hear you.
Well, I was already kind of kicked out of the bar because I had too much to drink.
Yeah.
And I was sitting outside waiting for my friends.
Yeah.
And there was probably maybe like 50 to 60 people outside.
Yeah.
And where he was, from where his car was, he couldn't have seen what happened.
How do you know what?
I saw where he was when he was, you know, taking IDs
Jason,
and whatnot.
Two things. There is a signed acknowledgement of responsibility.
Right.
That you signed.
Right.
Now, you say that you were too drunk to know anything about what you signed. That's your defense to that. Is that right?
Yeah.
And yet you're telling me you were not drunk enough.
Well...
So, listen, let me finish. You were too drunk to know what you signed, but not so drunk as to be able to tell me that he couldn't have seen what he says he saw.
Okay, but the times are completely different. I was waiting outside for like 45 minutes before he even came up to me. They didn't let me back in. I had to ask him if I could get my friends to leave. And then I probably waited outside like another 30, 45 minutes before he let me back in. And then when we were walking out to leave is when he pulled me aside and said he was looking for me because something happened to his car. At that point, I didn't know what was going on. I knew nothing about the car. I don't even think he knew about the car. I think someone told him and he saw us fighting. And it was like, oh, they were probably close to it. They might as well have done it. When there were so many people out there that were walking by, anyone could have done it.
Well, that's true, but he says you did it. And you're too drunk to know what you did.
Well, of course, I'm drunk. He sees a really drunk guy signing a thing that I'm too drunk to sign. It's easy.
Do you know, Jason, what that would suggest to me?
What?
That a good life's lesson is, if you're going to drink, don't drink too much. Because if you drink too much, you really can't tell what kind of dumb thing you might do, or you can't really defend yourself when somebody...
All that.
So that would be a good lesson, because you don't drink well, sir.
Well, maybe it was a long night of drinking.
Was there any reason for that?
I don't know. You start off with a few, and then, I don't know, you end up having more than you expected.
That sounds stupid.
At the time, I guess it didn't.
But it does sound stupid, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sounds
Because now
stupid.
you're going to have to fix her car. What kind of car is it?
It's a 2005 Cadillac CTS, so it's a expensive car which is in pristine condition. It's not like I had something on it before or, you know, it's a perfect car. I have a question, too, for him. Since he says now that, you know, he didn't do it, it could have been anybody. So since we had contact with him days afterward and everything was fine, oh, yeah, we'll take care of it. Take it to my place over here. Those days you were sober, so that doesn't make any sense that, oh, you were too drunk at that, you know, that day. But then days afterward, you didn't say you didn't do it. This is the first that we hear that it could have been 50 or 60 people that did it.
But it could have, he told me it was his car, now all of a sudden it's her car.
That doesn't matter.
Just a second. What difference does that make to you?
Well, all right, after the whole incident, it got kind of fishy, you know? He called me like...
Listen, I don't want to hear you anymore.
Okay.
Quite frankly, When a 22-year-old gets so drunk that they don't know what they're doing, makes me nauseous. I want to gag. My gag reflex is it. You owe her $500. Judgment for the plaintiff.
All right.
That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Called me like nonstop, leaving all kinds of messages.
Of course, we're gonna call and like try to get it settled.
Trying to harass us, little intimidation.
The guy was obviously too drunk to remember anything.
Drink less.
The right thing was done. It's too bad he's such a loser who couldn't just take care of it before we got here.
17-year-old Tomas Plencarte Benson and his mother, Kathleen, are suing 17-year-old Daniel Tinjum and his parents, Paula and Mark Naylor. Tomas claims Daniel scammed him out of $200.
Now, this is case number 110 on the calendar in the matter of Benson versus Naylor. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mrs. Benson, this is your son. And it is your claim, Ms. Benson, that the defendant's son defrauded your son out of a couple of $100.
That's correct.
By some sort of scam with your son's ATM card. Mr. and Mrs. Naylor say that this was not a scam by their son, but sort of a thing that both boys did because they wanted some money, and your son is just not prepared to fess up that he was complicit in this little scam. So he's blamed their son.
Okay.
So why don't the parents sit down for a second, because they weren't there, they don't know what happened. The only two people that know what happened are these two people who were standing in front of me. Your first name is what?
Tomas.
And yours?
Daniel.
Daniel, how long have you and Tomas been friends?
For a couple of years now.
So why don't you tell me, Tomas, your version of what happened and when it happened?
All right. This situation all started on January 23rd of this year when I had lent Mr. Tinjum $40 from my own bank account.
Where were you when he asked you for the money?
I was at home.
And where was the money?
It was in my bank account.
And where was he?
At his house, I presume, yeah.
Well, how did he contact you, sir?
Yeah, he called me. He had called me from his house.
And said what?
It said he needed $20. The first time. There's two transactions here. One earlier in the evening and then one later. And
Look at me, sir.
I'm trying to collect myself. I'm very nervous.
He called you once and said, I need $20, not 40.
It's 40. He asked me for 40 altogether. The first time he said he needed money for...
Mr. Benson, you're tripping all over yourself, sir. Look at me. You're tripping all over yourself, Tomas.
I'm very sorry. I'm very nervous.
Get unnervous, Mr. Benson.
It's very hard. Sorry.
He called you in your house on
Yes.
January 23rd and said, I need...
$20 first.
Okay. And you said...
Okay. I didn't ask him what he needed it for.
I
That's
didn't
not
ask
into
you.
my
And then
business.
what did you do? Did you say, I'll meet you at my bank? Come over,
Yeah. I said I'd meet him halfway there.
23rd and took out $20.
Yeah, just $20 first.
And you gave it to him.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
And then he called me later that evening and
Just a
said...
minute. Then he went home and you went home?
Yeah. And we went home.
Go ahead.
And then he called me later that evening saying he needed another $20. And so I said, all right, but that's kind of a lot of money that I'm lending to you. Could you pay me interest on it or something? And he agreed $10 interest, which would make it $50. And that was our agreement. And the way he was going to pay me back was getting a check from his grandma with an amount of $250 later that week. He was supposed to be getting this check. So then we agreed that I would cash this check through my bank. Then afterwards, I waited till for...
Look at me. Don't look there.
I'm sorry. So then I was going to wait for a call from him. And then I finally got the call on February 2nd, Wednesday. And he said that he finally got his check from his grandma. And we'd met up. And we headed to my bank. And I looked at the check. And it was in the amount of $250. I signed my name to pay to the order of Tomas Benson. I have all this information right here. I have all this evidence.
I didn't ask you for anything.
Oh,
I
right.
asked you to tell me the story.
All right, we headed to my bank. I had looked at the check, seen that it was in the right amount.
You told me about that already.
Yeah. On the ledge, grabbed my wallet to get my bank card out to the bank, put it in the machine, typed in the amount, $250 deposit, and sometime between that time, I believe that he had switched the envelope. He had took an envelope with the check in it, and he...
Don't tell me what you believe, sir. I'm not interested what you believe.
All right.
I'm not interested what you believe.
But, yeah, I put it on the ledge. I typed in that I would deposit it.
You told me that already.
Yeah, I know. I'm telling you.
Don't tell me again. I have a very good
and
memory.
I put the envelope into the bank, and then I withdrew $200 from my own account, and I gave it to him then because I thought the $50 was supposed to be mine, and then I'd give him $200 out of my own bank to make it even. And then afterwards, we just parted ways.
Subsequently, you advised that they had no envelope, they had no check, they had no nothing, and your bank account became overdrawn. Is that right?
No, I had money in my account.
Okay, but you were advised then that the account never was credited with $250 in that check. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So you thought that was a big scam. Mr. Benson, after you gave him the $200 in cash, where did you go?
Back to my house.
Where did he go?
I'm not very sure.
Okay, go. Let's start with January 23rd with the two $20 bills.
That's not true. He never loaned me $20 two times. That's not true at all.
I have statements here.
You don't have a bank statement showing that you lent him $20 twice? You have a bank
but I
statement
have
that they withdrew $20?
Two withdrawals for the amount of $20.
So what? He says you never lent him any money.
Well,
That's
I
what
can
he
show you
says.
my bank statements here. They show there's 2 transactions on that day.
I believe that there are 2 transactions on that day, sir.
Could I
But
show
you have no proof. I believe that there were 2 transactions on January 23rd. There is absolutely nothing to suggest that those 2 transactions had anything to do with him, other than your testimony. Is that right? Is that right?
I guess, yes.
Good. Go ahead.
Okay, on January 27th, when he did pull up the $200, we both split the $200 with that. I was supposed to, in interest, I was supposed to give him $50 later for it.
Just a second. You're getting ahead of yourself, Daniel. On the 27th, what happened?
Okay, me and Thomas met up. We had an idea. We were going to go deposit a slip with no check in it. We both knew what
Just
we were
a second.
doing.
On the 27th, you were going to deposit a slip.
Yes.
Just a deposit slip.
Yes.
Whose idea was this?
It was both of ours.
So you were going to put in just a deposit slip with no check.
Yes.
Draw out $200, but you would owe him $150. $50 of that was interest.
Yes. Which I would have to pay later.
What made you and the defendant get together with this little scheme?
Because we wanted money to go out and party that night.
What night?
That night that we did it. I'm not quite sure what day it was, February 2nd, I guess.
Did you go out afterwards?
Yes. we
The
did.
2 of you?
Yes.
Where did you go?
Just to people's houses and stuff.
Well, what'd you need money for?
To buy stuff.
Drugs?
Go out and party. No, not drugs.
What?
Alcohol.
Did you go to mutual friends' houses? Look at me. Did you go?
His house, I didn't know. We went over to one of my buddy's house that we both knew.
What's his name?
Josh.
Your Honor, I was barred from the premises of Cherry Park Apartments, so I could not go over to Joshua's
Why
house.
were you barred from there?
Because of an incident with my brother.
No. He got kicked out because they found out that he was dealing
Dealing what?
drugs.
No, I had actually been barred because I had a fight with my older brother who also lived in the apartments.
Tomas, if something doesn't make sense, it's usually not true.
Makes sense.
Your slick story.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I shouldn't be blamed for everything. We did it 50-50. I'm admitting that we both did it and it was wrong, but I don't want to be the only one to blame.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 17-year-old Tomas Plancarte Benson says former friend Daniel Tingen cheated him out of $200. Daniel claims he and Tomas were partners in a bank scam.
Now, Daniel, at first when this scam was discovered, what did you tell your parents?
They didn't tell me anything about it at first. I just thought that the less they knew, the better, I guess, at the time. I knew I did something wrong. I didn't really want to fess up to it at the time, but now I think it's the right time. I shouldn't be blamed for everything. We did it 50-50. I'm admitting that we both did it and it was wrong, but I don't want to be the only one to blame.
Okay.
And another thing here.
Is that a police report?
Oh, yes, it is.
Can I see it, please?
And here's the case suit, which here, I'll show you both of them.
Miss Benson, is your son on probation?
No, he's not.
Had he been?
No.
You hesitated there for a moment.
He is going to LifeWorks program that he's going because he had a drug and alcohol problem.
When did he start it? You can stand up now.
He started, I think, in January of this year, I believe it was.
Ms. Benson, when did you find out about this money?
Right after the incident happened.
Well, tell me about how you found out about it.
I had found out because Thomas had gotten a letter in the mail saying that there wasn't a check in the envelope. And so he had come to me and told me he was very furious. And then he had made contact with the bank to find out what happened. He wanted an investigation.
So the first you found out about it was when your son came to you.
Yes.
And showed you what?
Showed me the letter he'd gotten from the bank.
Which is right here.
Yeah, I believe that there was nothing in the envelope.
And I would have no reason to put a fake deposit slip in there because I had money in the bank already. If I really wanted to party, I can just pull money out of my bank and it'd be no problem.
Who handles this account for him?
He does.
How old was he when you let him start to take care of this money?
He started working when he was about 15, and he's really good with his money, very tight-fisted, and that's what I don't understand.
Well, he's not so tight-fisted if he was using some of his money for illegal things.
That is true.
Yeah, that's
However, I mean, when this incident happened, there would be no reason for him to put a fake deposit slip in there. If he already had money in there, all he had to do was just go out and pull it out.
That's true.
And they cut.
That's the only thing that I find troubling. Stand up. The only thing that I find troubling, quite frankly, is if this was his mother's bank account, or one that was a joint bank account, and they had, in fact, defrauded his mother of the money,
right,
I could understand he would stick to his story. But this was his money. If he was going to take money out of that account to split to go partying, he can do that.
Yeah, we're not denying the whole story. I'm saying the whole thing sounds fishy to me.
Well, it does sound fishy to me, but the question that I have to ask myself, why would Mr. Benson get this letter from the bank on February 2nd that says there was no check in this deposit envelope? Out $200 and go partying with his friend, he would have done that. So why would he do this?
I have
Can
no
you
idea.
think of a reason?
Well, we weren't exactly both sober at the time either. We were the influence of alcohol, too.
You were?
Yes.
If you were under the influence of alcohol, why would he make up this story about a check and an envelope? Where had you been drinking?
Or we just walking around and stuff around town.
We hadn't been drinking. I wasn't drinking at all.
Well, first, when this whole thing started, they did come over to our house, and I was in the other room, and my husband was asking Thomas about this check, and he said that there was a check. My husband asked, okay, what was the color of it? Do you remember whose name was on it? What is the extra $50 for? And he said he was charging him $50 for cashing a check. And my husband asked him, why would you charge somebody $50 for cashing a check? I'm not, if these boys... Proof. And that's why I feel like we're here today.
Well, as I said to you, my problem is, why would he go to his mother?
Exactly.
If he was complicit in this incident.
I have no idea.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
And if it doesn't make sense, it's usually not true. Listen, the bank says there was no check enclosed. As a result, we've debited your account. Due to the nature of this transaction, we have disabled your ATM card to ensure that nobody is going to use it, but you can get another ATM card.
Actually, they would not reissue me a card.
They cut it up right there.
Yeah.
And they won't give you another one?
No.
They were very sorry they had to do it because
And I was
he had built
very
a report
embarrassed
with
and
them.
humiliated because I would never defraud my bank. I knew everybody there very well, and I was very responsible with my money. I budgeted very well.
Well, that's not true. You bought some drugs with your money.
Every now and then.
What?
Every now and then, but...
Right. So that's not 100% accurate, right?
Well, compared to other people my age, I believe. Because a lot of people my age don't have bank accounts, don't have as much money as I did.
Miss Benson, he's very slick. He really is. He's very slick. I'm not sure, and I'm not convinced.
Well, I don't think he would have gone through all this trouble.
Yeah.
I mean,
Unless
making
he
the
just
police
gave me-
report.
He just gave me a reason. When did they cut up your bank card?
A few days after I received that letter, though.
Few days. Just listen to me carefully. When did you make a police report?
It was April 3rd or 4th.
After they cut up your bank card.
Yeah.
April
It was
13th.
after they cut up my bank card.
Oh, that's a reason. That's a reason.
We tried to contact them. We were told by the officer that took the report to contact the family that it was a civil matter, and our phone number was blocked.
I don't care. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about whether your son was aware of the fact that there was nothing in this deposit slip that the two boys brought to know.
Not know that. I thought.
Listen! That's my job to figure out. He gave me a perfectly cogent story. You did not give me a perfectly cogent story. I'm still not comfortable that you were actually part of it. But I'm not comfortable enough, quite frankly, Mr. Benson, with your story of $20 here and $20 there and another $10 in interest, making it $50. I don't know what it was about. Maybe it was drug money. Maybe he was selling you something. Who knows? I'm not comfortable with your whole story. I'm also not comfortable with saying to you that you were part of this scheme. That's not what I have to determine today. What I have to determine today is whether or not they're going to pay you either all or half of what came out of your bank. And since what you're asking me for is to make a determination that the Nailers owe you $250, I'm not prepared to do that because I'm not totally comfortable with your story.
Ma'am,
What?
it's 200, not 250.
Thank you for correcting me, sir. What difference does it make?
That's correct. What difference does it make?
Right.
My son had also asked.
There's no further issue. I'm not prepared to rule that you are entitled to $200 from the defendant because I'm not totally comfortable with your story, Tomas.
All right. Can I show you some emails that I'd sent him beginning March 27th?
No, show me
22nd?
emails that he sent to you.
Well,
They're
yeah.
answering them right
Yeah.
here.
Does he acknowledge that he owes you the
Yes.
money?
Yes.
Let me take a look at it.
It's began March.
Hand them all.
This was on the.
Shh. See these emails?
No.
I have more right here.
Yeah,
too.
I also have more right here.
Continuation
I'd like to
of
see
all
them.
that.
Mr. Naylor, what's that all about, sir?
These aren't even from me.
Yeah, they are from you. What do you think
No,
about that, sir?
They're not. I'm serious, they're not from me.
Who's Rob's dad?
Robert was his next door neighbor.
And what kind of work does he do for Rob's dad?
Who? I'm sorry,
Your
who?
son.
He does. They can do yard work for him.
And has he done that in the past?
Yes.
Yes.
That's what it says there. I'm doing work for Rob's dad.
Yeah, but I didn't write most of this.
Couldn't have made it up.
Shh. Got it? Look at me, Mr. and Mrs. Naylor. Now you got it?
Yeah, I understand. I just don't understand about the check. This is what the whole weird thing is.
Listen, I don't understand about the checks either. I don't. And I'm not certain whether Tomas is talking about $100 or $200, because nowhere in there does it say how much you think he owes you, because according to him, he acknowledges he owes you $100, right?
Yes.
But not $200.
No. I asked for another check, actually.
Well, why would you ask for another check? If he didn't have a good check the first time, why would he give you a good check the second time from his grandmother?
I'm not.
Interesting. And you did write that, Daniel.
Not all of it, though.
Daniel!
Danny, just tell the truth. If you did it or not.
Not all of it, though. I'm telling them, but yeah.
So you acknowledged you owed him some money.
Yes.
Yes.
And you acknowledged that you had a job and that you were going to get him some money.
Yes.
The question is 100 or 200. Is that it?
It's 100.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $100. That's all.
Others are excused. You may step out.
It's not fair how somebody could just blame it all on one person and not think that they should take actions for what they've done.
He was a friend of mine, and he thought you can get money out of me.
Well, I'm just glad to get it out in the open, and I. For it's just the truth.
I don't think.
Palin are suing Heather's ex-husband, Scott Manis, for impound fee.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2142, Brown, Palin versus Mannings.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Palin, this is your former husband.
That is correct, Your Honor.
How long were you married?
18 years.
And this is your daughter.
Correct.
Is this your only child?
With Mr. Manis, it is.
Yes.
Yes.
You have other children?
One other, yes.
How old?
32.
When did you and Mr. Manis separate?
I moved out of the family home in March of 2018.
And this is your boyfriend?
Correct.
I'm going to, in broad strokes, at least try to reconcile both the complaint and the answer in this case. I assume there was a time when your daughter, whose first name is?
Trisha.
Tricia was living with you after the separation.
We had a mutual home, and while we were out of the home, he had her pack her belongings.
No, okay. Let's stop there. Tricia, how old are you?
I'm 19, Your Honor.
Okay. And right subsequent to the separation and the divorce, until September of 2020, you shared custody.
Correct.
Yes, ma'am.
And then Tricia decided she would prefer to live with her father.
Correct.
For whatever reason. I don't have to go into it, because this doesn't really have to do with who she chose to live with or where she was living. It has to do with a car. Okay. So while she was living with Mr. Manis purchased a car.
Yes, ma'am.
For her use.
Correct.
In what month did you purchase a car for her use? Month and year?
Oh, boy. I believe that was probably February of 2019, I believe. 18 or 19.
Well, let's figure it out.
It was about 6 months prior to the case with November 4th. We had the car. It would have been probably June or July of the same year.
So you bought her a car a couple of months before she decided to come and live with you?
Correct.
Okay, I got it.
She had just obtained her driver's license.
That's okay. I'm just trying to get a timetable. Right before she decided to come to live with you and not have 50-50 custody anymore, you purchased a car for her.
Correct.
And she drove that car in June or July, August?
Correct.
At your house?
At both houses.
She was allowed to go to take the car to their house?
Correct.
When she saw her mother?
Yes.
And then bring it back?
Correct.
There was a time when you took the car away from her. When was that? When did you take it away?
I actually never did take it away. Her mother and her mother's boyfriend decided to purchase her another car to eliminate my threat of taking away the car.
Well, I don't know if that's because, but they decided to
Correct.
purchase another car. And what did you do with the car that you had gotten for your daughter?
I sold that.
When did you sell it?
Probably a month or so after she got the other car.
And the threat was made to your daughter because you were
slipping. Okay. So I wanted her to concentrate more on her grades rather than...
Grades was slipping?
Correct, at school.
Did she give you any reason for that?
She was under a lot of pressure with the divorce.
So you purchased a car, Mr. Brown and Ms. Palin, with the understanding, according to your complaint, that the car would remain in your name. There would be payments made on the car, and once the car was paid, it would transfer to Tricia. Well, one thing led to another. Things sort of went south. And according to what I've read in these papers, you of Tricia, who was living with her father, and Mr. Manis caused the car to be towed and impounded, which caused you substantial expense to get the in fact get the car out of impound, subsequently sold it. How much were the impound fees?
$1,565.22, Your Honor.
Okay. And Mr. Manis, in defense of that, acknowledges that he towed the car, your car. He towed the car, which was at your house?
Your Honor, I had
Where was the car?
The car at the time was at my house.
That's what I'm asking you. The car was at your house. You had it towed to defense for doing that.
Your Honor, he requested...
Just a second. Your defense for doing that is that you were merely following Mr. Brown's instructions.
And the police officers.
You were following Mr. Brown's instructions.
Correct.
Yes, you have a police officer here.
I have several police reports, Your Honor.
About what?
This isn't just about the car. There's several years of harassment.
No, I'm dealing with the car.
I understand.
Right now, I'm dealing with the car.
So I have the several officers that came instructed us to get the car removed from the property.
Well, that may be, sir. You can have the car removed from the property and put it in front of their house.
I understand.
Yeah, you chose not to do that.
May I show you his request to have the car towed? He offered a reward for the car to be towed.
Just a second. I want you to tell me where I'm wrong so far. See, what we can all do to make her as unhappy as possible. So I really don't understand two people who probably, in their own way, love their child, but hate each other more than they love their child, which to me is absolutely bizarre.
Sometimes we lose, sometimes we win. Sometimes we try to fit it all in. Sometimes we don't know what's in store. Sometimes we find what we're looking for. Sometimes we're rolling easy and free. Sometimes 1 and 1 makes 3. So much to love along this ride.
Captain, you can't have her, and I'm taking her home.
It's every guy's worst nightmare getting accused like that.
Can you guess what every woman's worst nightmare is?
Well, at least I won't die alone.
Curtis Brown and Heather Palin claim Heather's ex-husband, Scott Mattis, owes for impound fees. Scott is countersuing Heather for filing a false CPS report.
Okay. You had the car towed to an impound. You did not call him or your ex-wife the day that you had the car towed to impound. It was some period of time later, if the fees for impound were $1,500. Your excuse for that is you were merely following his request. Yeah. Is that wrong?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, so now we know that you didn't notify them when you had the car towed.
Your Honor.
Because you could have had the car towed to the local police precinct and called them and said, come pick up the car. It can't be in front of my house anymore.
Your Honor,
He was actually at my house that night.
Just a second. I didn't ask you anything.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
The police, when they came to our house, the car was present. They acknowledged the presence of the car.
You can't tell me what the police did, sir.
I have.
See, I will see the report. What I'm asking you is, there are two things. If you wanted the car out of your custody and you wanted to quietly and stop the friction, send it back to the people who purchased it, you could have done that. You chose not to do that.
Your Honor, the reason I chose not to do that is because of I have several false allegations from CPS, the police. I did not choose to have any contact
You
with
don't
them
have to have any contact with them, sir.
in order to.
You don't have to have any contact. Private house or an apartment?
Private house.
You have the tow truck company drop the car off in front of their house. Now, after you had the car towed to an impound company, did you contact them in any way?
No, I didn't.
No.
I was instructed.
Did you
not
ask
to
the
by
police to contact them and tell them?
The police knew, yes.
I didn't ask you what the police knew. You can't tell me what the police knew. So you had the car towed on September the 4th. And when were you notified the car was in impound?
I received certified letter on September 26th, which was a Friday. It said to contact them Monday through Friday between 8 and 4.
Just a second. You received that on September 26th. Impounded.
Correct.
Yeah, that's...
Okay. So now the onus is upon you, Mr. Manis. I want you to prove your defense to me, and your defense was you were following Mr. Brown's instructions.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. That's all I want to see.
Here you go, Your Honor.
So this says $100 reward to anyone that impounds my car. Call a tow truck and tell them to contact me.
Yes, Your Honor.
You know this number.
Yes.
Yes. Well, did you do that?
The tow company sent them money, and I have the proof of that also, Your Honor.
Yeah, I would like to see what you're looking at. That's not on September 4th.
No.
That's not on September 4th.
9/10, they sent that out,
Okay.
the notice.
Let's see. Well, this says that attempts were made on 9/21, 9/26, and 10/5. That's what it looks like, attempts made.
That's when they had attempted to deliver. If they would have gone to their post office box, they would have had notice.
If I had taller parents, I would have been 5'7". They had no notice. Okay, 1,565.
Yes, if you would please.
Let me, you have a counterclaim.
Yes, ma'am.
And your counterclaim I'm going to hear. Right now, you owe Mr. Brown $1,565 because what you did was malicious. And I don't understand something. You have one child together. I assume that you don't want to make her miserable. That when she was born, you said, oh, let's see what we can do over her lifetime to make her as unhappy as possible. Let's see what we can all do to make her as unhappy as possible. So I really don't understand two people who probably, in their own way, love their child, but hate each other more than they love their child, which to me is absolutely bizarre. So right now, because you did a malicious thing by having their car towed and not giving them a heads up that you had the car towed to a place that was going to cost them money, you owe them $1,565. Now I'm going to hear your claim that they made false charges to CPS about you. Anything that was inaccurate. Did your father have the car towed? The answer is he's acknowledged that. He had the car towed and put it in a place where neither your mother or her boyfriend knew where it was, resulting in their having to pay fines to get the car out. Is there anything that I said was wrong?
That is partially incorrect because I had contacted my mother in the time and asked either...
Okay, that I'll hear. Okay. You contacted your mother.
I did contact my mother previously, not only on normal messages, but also on messenger messages, including how I wanted either the title or my money back and that they could have the car before that. Once the Facebook post was... All I want you to show me is that you notified either your mother or Mr. Brown that impounded when you notified them. She also did ask my best friend where it was.
All I want, that's all I want. Don't tell me what you said to your best friend who's not here. All I want to do is see where you notified your mother that the car was impounded.
So there is this one about money in my account, which was about the car.
I don't want to see anything about the car. I only want to see where you notified your mother or Mr. Brown that the car was impounded.
Okay. I don't have the text about that, but I did notify her that it was impounded.
Well, I don't know that, and it seems to me you weren't talking to your mother on a regular basis because there was a lot of acrimony. If you have it, you have it. If you don't have it, you don't have it. So, Tricia, you could sit down. Of sharing a bed with a teenage female child as a father would give me cause to pause.
The Peppadew Pepper on Panera's new Green Goddess Caprese Melt. It's a small detail, but when enough of those details are melted together, they become big. New toasted baguettes. Cater your next event with Panera.
Defendant Scott Mattis has accused his ex-wife, Heather Palin, of filing a false report with Child Protective Services.
Now, it was a malicious act to have the car impounded. There's no question in my mind that if they knew it was impounded, they would have gotten it out before. $1,565. Now, you want to show me what information you have with regard to filing a false CPS report?
Correct. I have the CPS reports and the police investigators report.
Okay. May I see it, please? This report, it was in September of 2020.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It's been several years of these reports, and it's disgusting.
You filed or you made allegations to Child Protective Services?
CPS actually contacted me, Your Honor, regarding several calls that they had received for the welfare of my daughter, Trisha.
In what year?
I was contacted, I believe it was 2019, and again in 2020.
They contacted you?
Correct.
For what?
To do an interview because of a claim that was made regarding Trisha's safety.
That were made by an anonymous source?
I don't know who made them, Your Honor. In Minnesota, you can't make multiple reports by one person. I cannot call day after day to make reports.
I'm just asking you, did you at some point claim that you had reason to believe that your daughter was being in some way physically abused by her father? That's either a yes or a no.
Yes, to a point.
Yeah, okay. And part of that involved a sexual abuse.
That one was not claimed by me. I did state to CPS that he does have her sleep in his bed with him.
Well, I have to tell you something.
Which is a little weird.
I have to tell you something. That doesn't seem a little weird. It seems a lot weird that your daughter acknowledged, sir.
Your Honor?
Your daughter. What I'm telling you is, it is inappropriate for a man to sleep in the same bed as his 15-year-old daughter.
Your Honor,
that's my view. Interviewed, that's what it says in here. But I'm telling you, as a mother and a grandmother, in my view, and I'm not a professional psychiatrist or psychologist, but it is inappropriate for a teenager to sleep in the same bed with her father. Period. Maybe some countries it's appropriate, but I...
Your Honor, we went to a concert.
What?
And shared a hotel room at a...
No, that's not what your daughter said. No. That's not what your daughter said, sir.
May I finish?
Yes.
When she was going through all the stuff with the divorce and everything, she came into my room. I was asleep. She laid next to me. I'm asleep.
Listen to me. I'm not suggesting
Your Honor,
that anything inappropriate...
Sir, absolutely right.
Understand this. I'm not suggesting that any inappropriate actions happen between you and your daughter. I'm telling you that it is inappropriate, the act of sharing a bed with a teenage female child as a father would give me cause to pause. I would say, you know what? That's not a good idea. It's a... You may want to go and, if she's scared, say, sweetheart, I'll go and sit in a chair in your room.
Many times.
In your room.
Many times.
But please, this is inappropriate. Do you understand? It's inappropriate.
Did you read the detective's statements in there?
No, I'm not interested in the detective statements.
Obviously.
If what your daughter says is true as a result of the investigation, then there was reason for somebody to suggest to CPS to do an investigation. So, listen. Bottom line, I can't tell the two of you to stop feuding. I can't. You either hate each other more than you love your daughter. That's the answer. And this court can't fix that. All I can do is fix $1,565, which is what you owe them for impound fees. This case is over. Thank you.
Yeah. This court is adjourned.
I think the judge is wrong.
I am thankful for the judge.
She didn't read all the evidence. Multiple pages weren't read.
He's very good at manipulating others.
And multiple accusations.
And being the person that, oh, pity me, feel sorry for me.
False allegations to the CPS.
My ex-husband decided that he would show me.
No, he's trying to get my...
The 4th, and that's when it just started going downhill.
She has a lot of hatred.
I believe he's very angry that I divorced him.
That she falls off a bridge.
And he lost the control over me that he had while we were married.
You know, Sarah, I've been doing these family cases for probably 40 plus years, and it always makes me sad that the mother, the father, even the new boyfriend, there is a window in life when you feel relatively healthy, nothing hurts you, you don't have a bad back, you don't have to worry about indigestion, you can walk around without a walker, you look pretty reasonable, and that you will take years away from that good time to create negativity around not only yourself, but the people that you love.
I think that's great advice.
I always said to people, both men and women, that, it's one journey. You can take that journey and put as much positive energy into it.
Yeah, I just felt bad for the daughter. I mean, I know she's grown now, 19, but still 19, it still hurts your feelings to hear and see that your parents hate each other more than they care and love about you.
Well, maybe that statement
will make a difference. You never
will
know.
make a difference, because I'm sure it's not true.
Yeah.
I have a feeling.
But when it's said to you in a court in front of your child, hopefully they take some action on it then.
Well, hopefully they'll say, boing, I mean, she has a new boyfriend, and he's got his daughter who's living with him. They should
close the book and move on.
Close the book.
Yeah.
Her mother and her boyfriend should get a puppy together. Well, they should
Not
not
until
until
they
they
get
get married. Not until they. But do something. This is a grown young woman.
Have a healthy
Should they-
adult relationship with your adult
grown
child.
Right. Not over a car. But teenagers do crazy things for a car. I think that some teenagers would live with Satan if they bought.
Jeremy DeTorres is suing his former employer, Chad Young, for unpaid wages and filing a false restraining order.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2140, DeTorres versus Young.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. DeTorres, according to your complaint, you did some work for the defendant as a plumber. Didn't work out, and he terminated you, and he owes you some wages.
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant's you're an independent contractor. That's the way he sets it up, and he's going to explain that to me. That he paid you your wages, even though the last job that you did cost him an awful lot to repair. He was not happy with the quality of work that you did, and his counterclaim is for vandalism, something that happened with his truck, work hours, lost due to your incompetence. That I'm not going to hear, sir. You make a choice with an employee, and if it turns out to be something that is less than satisfactory, then you let them go. But the one who I assume suffered from what you call lack of quality work that he at a private So we're going to make this as easy as possible. From what days to what days did you work? And how much were you supposed to be paid?
For those 3 days, $840.
And that's for 3 days' work?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you say June 13th
Yes, ma'am.
to August 3rd?
Correct. Did not pay me for.
Okay, and where did you work during those days?
Multiple residents.
Okay, do you have any sort of a call log from him?
I do. It's right
Okay.
here in my
Do you
short.
dispute that he worked from August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd?
Yes.
You dispute that
There was one day he actually did one of my jobs for a couple hours that day.
Doesn't matter. He has a log.
Half a day for one day.
Did you pay him for that half day?
I did not because the job was done in.
Do you have a log?
As in?
It's some sort of a work log. You have a business. You have people who are general contractors. You get a call. You don't have a payroll because you pay these people independently. Do you pay them in cash or check?
Both.
Well, how did you pay him?
Sometimes it was through a cashier's check and sometimes it was cash.
Okay, but never through a company check where you deducted Social Security.
No, because I 1099 all my employees, so they're all self-employed, so they have to do all that on their own.
I do understand. I mean, you're not the inventor of this whole system, sir, of paying in cash. Okay. Are you one of those independent contractors?
Yes, ma'am.
Stand up. How long have you been an independent contractor? with him?
I've been contracted with Chad since July 5th.
Of what year?
This year, 2022.
Oh, so short term.
Yes, ma'am.
Does he pay you in check or cash? No, look at me.
Check it first, and then later on it became through Venmo, and then it's gone back to check now.
What kind of check?
Cashier's check.
Just a straight cashier's check with nothing taken out.
No, ma'am.
No, I go to my bank to get all that.
What?
I go to my bank to get the cashier's checks, and sometimes I Venmo him the payment too, just to pay.
I understand, but sir, you're not the first person who I know who pays their people in cash and says that you're independent contractors. You're independent contractors. I don't want to know about it. What name do you use for the cashier's checks?
My personal name.
Is this the first time you've worked for him?
Yes.
Okay, let me see what you have for August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Where did you work? Come on.
There were multiple residents, ma'am.
Well, you have to tell me so that he can answer. He said that you worked half a day that he didn't pay you for.
Yes, ma'am.
So let's say that's a full day. So that's $200.
Okay. See, he would email it on his work phone, and I'd follow this.
Well, then you would have it on your phone.
My short notes on
Just
this.
a second. Then you would have it on your phone.
It was his company phone. He took it back when he came to my house unannounced and told me that I was fired. Redeemed his truck. Got my tools out of his vehicle.
Okay, just a second. Do you have your phone?
I do. I have my personal one that I.
What about the phone that you took from him?
No, that one's actually broke, so it's been with Mo for the past week.
Let me see the notes that you have that you took.
Yes, ma'am.
Fascinating.
It's my shorthand, ma'am.
How do I know what dates these are for?
It was all on his phone, ma'am.
Well, that's not him to have to prove, sir.
I wasn't able to prove anything when he took his phone back. I just had that's the notes when I was employed for him, as I wrote down.
It's not helpful to me.
Yes, ma'am.
So far, the only thing that he's acknowledged is that he owes you a day's wages.
Yes, ma'am.
Which is $210. The other part of your complaint is a false restraining order against you.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you file a restraining order against
I did.
him? Do you have a copy of what you wrote in your restraining order?
I do.
I'd like to see it.
So what got me that restraining order is he called, made threats, and made
Was
threats.
this after you fired him?
It was.
Okay, so after you fired him, he called you.
Made threats.
Well, what did he say when he called you?
Just basically talking about I'm gonna come to your house and everything.
He wanted money.
I guess, yeah.
He said, you didn't pay me.
Yeah.
Okay. You say you got a text message and voicemail from Jeremy threatening to come to my place of residence.
Yes.
Can I hear it?
Yeah. Do you want me to play it, or do you want to look at it?
I want to look at it.
Okay.
So, Mr. Torres, did you, after he fired you and came to your residence, took your house, did you call him threatening to come to his house?
I did.
You did?
With the police. It says it on these text messages, ma'am.
Okay. I'm going to...
There's more text. That's just the one where he said he'd send me my money.
That's the voicemail, if you want me to play it for you. Sometimes the transcription doesn't work.
Yeah.
You want me to play it?
Just...
Hey, bro. I definitely worked more than 9 hours for the last week that I worked for you. I'll be contacting my... Play with me. I'll show up at your house.
Yeah, that's a threat.
With the police.
Just a second. That's a threat.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I've had more.
That's a threat.
I
Just
had
a
more incidents before that as well.
May I say something, ma'am? He accused me of going into his gated community, slashing tires on his work vehicle. I stated that I was going to come to his house after, if you read my text, I said to him, hey, bro, I think I misunderstood your text message. If I did, my bad. If not, I'll show up at your house with the police. I never went to his house. I waited to see if he'd be the big man and just send me my money like he said he would.
I listened to the message, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
The message sounded threatening.
Did you read the rest of them?
I don't care. That message sounded threatening. Where does it say here that his tires were slashed?
In my mind, somebody writing that against me, flattened tires, what else would it be?
But you have to understand that that's not what this says.
And later today.
I was financially struggling.
Well, you weren't living together at the time.
No, she would periodically come over and
yeah, but you weren't living together at the time. So how would she find out that you were in financial trouble?
Jeremy DeTorres claims his former employer, Chad Young, owes for unpaid wages and filing a false restraining order.
Okay, that message alone, if he felt threatened because you were going to come to his house, and you not only said you were going to come to his house, but you used an expletive before you did that, which sounded threatening. This may be more benign, but that phone message was sufficient.
Absolutely.
Some people don't pursue it because once it's done, it's done.
It wasn't done.
And once it's
This
done,
is the dismissal right here. Dismissal for the
No, I didn't show up. I understand he didn't show up, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
But I'm saying to you, I listened to your text message, and he had an absolute right to see.
Can you see where he threatened me as well with all these back and forth texts and calling each other? Because it's in the text
You're
messages.
suing him for money owed for wages and filing a false restraining order.
Okay.
You've proven that you worked an additional day for which he didn't pay you, which is $210. He has a counterclaim. Yes. He says that you vandalized the tires on his car. The rest of it, I'm not dealing with, sir. You picked this employee. You don't then sue the employee if you don't like the job that they do. You fire them and you get somebody else to do the job. But you can't sue him because did the person who you did the job for sue you?
No, because I've got a really good reputation with my customers.
Because you fixed it. Done right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even up to that last day I said he worked for me, that job I had to go back to 2 weeks ago. That they couldn't close on the house.
Then next time you won't hire him. Yeah. Maybe other people won't either. But I want you to tell me about the tires. I want you to tell me what proof do you have that he had anything to do with your tires? When were the tires slashed, flattened?
So the police report was done Friday when he made the threats.
Friday. What's the date?
I got the date right here. I think it was
August 5th.
Yeah, so August 5th is when he did it.
August 5th is when
the police report was made for the threats.
For the threat with the voicemail?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so it was the end of the day Friday, so court's closed for the weekend.
August 5th?
Yep. And then Monday, the 8th, I went outside to go to work. My tires were slashed in the end. At that point, I realized it was just over and done, and I need to go down and get a restraining order so people can't come onto my, my property.
Because you believed it was the plaintiff who was responsible. You believed you didn't have proof at the time.
Yes.
You didn't have proof.
Again, and even in my injunction, I knew all I needed was this police report to get the injunction, so I just put in my police report.
You're not talking about an injunction. You're talking about a restraining order.
Yeah, the restraining order. Yeah.
Okay.
So I went to file the restraining. So in my restraining order, I put just my tires were flat. I did not put my tires were slashed at any point because I knew the police report was enough to get the restraining order.
Okay, your
so I didn't go in
tires were flat.
detail about my tires.
Okay, so in the Okay.
That happened Friday. Monday morning, I went out in my vehicle to go to work. That's when I found them flat and slashed.
Did you file another police report?
That's when I went and filed the restraining order that day.
Okay, and in the application for a restraining order, you said?
That my tires were flat, and that was it.
Yes, okay.
I didn't mention that they were slashed.
Correct.
So I don't know how he would know my tires were slashed if I didn't mention it on my restraining order.
I don't know. That's an interesting question. Mr. DeTorres. Mr. DeTorres, stop your paper fluttering.
Okay.
What made you think that the defendant's tires were slashed rather than just the air let out of them?
Because I read this police report and it has a mark right here saying, or the file that he did.
Show me. And make a circle.
Right here, damaged property is what I read. He checked that I damaged his.
Understand my question, sir.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. I'm nervous in the
Just a second. This has nothing to do with nerves, Mr. DeTorres.
Well, I had no sleep last night.
That has nothing to do with sleep.
As far as not being...
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
What I'm asking you, Mr. DeTorres, is where does it say here that his tires were slashed?
In my mind, somebody writing that against me, flattened tires, what else would it be? He lives in a gated community. Showing me that my leg injury, the way I walk, is very distinctive. okay? If he's got proof that I slashed or flattened his tires, I said slashed. It's the same thing as flattened in my mind. That's the way I think. The way I read that, that's just how it came out of my mouth.
But you have to understand that that's...
Okay, it says that I damaged his
He
property.
said damaged his property, and you said slash tires.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
How much were the tires?
$450.
Let me see the receipt.
I do not have a receipt because I pay cash for my tires.
Well, that's too bad. You better stop paying cash, sir. You can pay cash for tires.
Yeah.
But when you buy tires with cash and you want to sue for them, you get a receipt.
Yeah. At the tire shop, and he's like, we just, we always do cash for all your vehicles. And
Well, what's the
receipts, no
cash
nothing.
for all your vehicles? That means you get a receipt. All right, your counterclaim's dismissed because you have no proof of anything. On the complaint, sir, I'm awarding you $210, which is 1 day's pay. Thank you very much. This case is over.
This court is adjourned.
The work just wasn't up to the quality that he promised he was going to offer.
It is what it is. She felt like I was only awarded a day's pay, and that's what she gave me.
Keep doing what I do. That's all I can do every day.
Well, Sarah Rose, that is the perfect example of you're supposed to have proof when you come to court.
Yep. Standard of proof exists for a reason.
You know, I know that when I go someplace, and sometimes I pay cash. So even if you pay cash for something,
There's some
or Venmo,
record. Venmo
you're
is a good
supposed to
record.
get a receipt in the event that you want to use whatever you bought and use that. Know that they got the gift.
Yeah.
Then you take it and you throw it away. It's just
good bookkeeping. It's good record keeping. I
And
think.
he's a business guy.
Yeah,
He's a business guy.
supposedly.
Didn't make sense to me, but clearly plaintiff was somebody who has...
Mary Favre and Jason Stockton are suing Mary's brother, Michael Manry, for medical bills and personal belongings.
Hello, Judge. Case 2117, Farr Stockton versus Manry.
Thank you, Kevin. Mr. Manry, this is your sister.
Correct.
And that is her...
Fiance.
And you have a son who is 19.
Yes, Your Honor.
How many other children do you have?
I have 3 altogether.
How old?
One is almost 30, the other one is 18, and then I got the 19-year-old, which one here.
Okay. And your son, who is now 19, is the subject of this case. Who had custody of the children?
I got custody of Dakota now.
When did you get custody of the children?
Only when he was 18 years old.
Do you have those papers, sir?
Yes, I do.
May I see them, please? Until further order of the court. So what this case is about now, and I assume from what I've read, that Dakota has certain special needs.
Yes, ma'am.
And because of his special needs, he is unemployed. Did he finish any sort of a high school?
He graduated.
He graduated from
Yes.
high school?
Yes.
Did he go to a special school?
He went to a regular school, but he was in special education.
And when he graduated, did he graduate when he was living with you?
Yes.
Okay, so this is what your case is about. At some point, according to you, you have a niece. And your niece wanted to have Dakota come and stay with her for a couple of days. You were at the time, according to your answer, sort of in between residences. You were evicted from one place and going someplace else?
I was in the process of moving. I got my niece to go with me to, ask her if she'll bring me to go get Dakota by my cousin's house. And she said, sure.
Okay. Dakota went to live for a few days, at least, at your niece's house.
No, not live there. No, not live there. No, ma'am.
Well, he was there overnight.
He was over there overnight.
How many nights was he there overnight?
I think about maybe a week. I was supposed to be
okay.
3 days.
So he was there.
Like, yeah.
And
yes, ma'am.
Went to your niece's house, and you saw Dakota there.
Yes, ma'am.
And according to you, became concerned because, according to you, it looked like he hadn't showered in a week.
He was in dirty clothes. He just looked awful.
So you decided to take him to live with you?
I asked him, I said, do you want him to the house to stay, you know, a little while, you know, where he can eat and all that, because he looked like he hadn't ate either.
Okay. Well, this is what your case is about. You decided to take him, didn't discuss it with his father. During the time he was with you, he had some expenses. You want his father to be responsible for those expenses, and you want his father to return certain of his personal property. That's what the case is about.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. First, let me deal with all things legal. I have an order here dated January 21st, 2021, which grants physical and legal custody of Dakota to his father. Do you have any subsequent order granting you custody or guardianship? Is my... Can I see what they have?
Power of attorney when I didn't give her permission. I got custody. Okay.
Okay, this was signed by Dakota, so he's giving you legal power to act on his behalf.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Dakota, by signing this power of attorney, he's saying that I am a whole person, and I give you the right to make medical decisions for me if he decisions on his own. This is an order of custody. You have power of attorney. Power of attorney suggests to me that Dakota wants to emancipate himself from his father, wants someone else to act on his behalf. It becomes a complex question because if Dakota has special needs and if he can't act on his own, and a court has already ruled that his father should have custody of him, either you have a power of attorney and he's emancipated, in which case his father's not responsible for any of his medical bills, or this is invalid because he can't sign a power of attorney because he doesn't have the mental capacity to understand.
Yes, ma'am.
And do you know what the nature of his disabilities are?
Fetal alcohol syndrome.
Is that his diagnosis, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
He had, according to you, after you took him from your niece's house, and you do acknowledge you took him without his father's permission.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
We was not talking, me and him.
What doesn't make any sense, you were told this is about now, and I assume from what I've read that Dakota has certain special needs.
Dakota said, and he showed me where he touched Michael. Now, I don't know if it was on a different Facebook page.
No, it's your responsibility to notify his guardian, who has custody, that you have taken physical custody of him.
Right.
And when did you take physical custody of him? Give me the month, day, and year.
May 20th of this year, 2022.
Now, while you had physical custody of Dakota, you indicate that he had surgery.
Yes, ma'am.
And part of what you want Mr. Manry to pay for is the ambulance bill. What kind of surgery did he have?
Brain surgery, and he had a fetus.
Just a second. What caused you to take him to a hospital or to a doctor?
Your Honor, when he arrived at the house on the 20th, he had very bad slurred speech, and his balance was completely off. He was falling over. Your Honor, it was like he was a drunken man.
Let me go back to you for a second, sir. While Dakota was with you in the months just prior to May, did you notice Dakota having difficulty in his gait?
Not like he was explaining to me, I was going overboard.
No, did you?
But his balance was off, okay.
Did you inquire? Did you take him to the doctor?
I did. I took him, actually, right after I got him.
So you saw that balance was off a while ago?
When I noticed that he had headaches, all right, because his dream, thanks to me, was wrestling. He loves wrestling. I put him in wrestling. I talked to the promoters, and I did that for him. But when I seen every time he got body slammed, you know, and this and that, I had to take him out of it. I got concerned because he was complaining of headaches. So I made him an appointment, and I waited for a referral. Well, when the referral came in, my kid was kidnapped.
So he never actually saw the second doctor?
No.
Okay. Do you have any records
Well, I couldn't get the records. I tried to get them.
Once someone went wrong, my kid died doing surgery. I couldn't even be there for him and all that. Anything could have happened.
Just a second. I'm following you, sir. Now, when did you take him for this brain surgery?
I took him the first week of June. I took him to do a CAT scan. And as soon as she did that, we went to the hospital. We didn't leave the hospital. They put him in the ER. And from the ER, we went to Florence, Alabama. And then the surgeons there couldn't do it because it was so big.
What was so big?
Your Honor,
brain.
they found a mass the size of a grapefruit. The first week, Dakota came to stay with us after we noticed the balance issues and the slurred speech. She took him to Dr. who diagnosed him with being severely malnutritioned. Your Honor, when he came to my house, his
liar.
No.
Okay, I'm sorry. Your Honor, sorry. My apologies.
His leg was no bigger round than my wrist.
I got it. Mr. Manry, everything has to be put in perspective. You had a lot of things going on. And if Mr. Stockton's reporting to me is accurate, even though there might be some bad feeling of the way your sister and her fiance took physical custody of Dakota, you really have to be in a position to say thank you to them, because you, for whatever reason, not for lack of trying, nobody is suggesting for lack of trying, you did try to take him to a doctor, you did see that there were things wrong with him. Involved in this kind of surgery, but you really have to take a breath. Yes. And I assume it's accurate, because I cannot assume that anybody would perform brain surgery on a child that was. Your sister should have called you and told you that Dakota was going into the hospital to have surgery. That would have been the nice thing to do. Did you do that?
She did.
No, she did not.
She called.
I called my mother.
Well, calling your mother.
His phone was disconnected. I did not have the new number until he called me or texted me with a bunch of drama. That's when I got his number.
You took my kid from me. You kidnapped my son, no matter what.
Mr. Manry, what I want you to do is just take a breath for a moment.
Yes, ma'am. Dakota kept texting me, you know, he kept on like video chatting me and everything. And then all of a sudden, like a light switch, he changed and everything. The boy's mind's being poisoned by Mary and
No, so far, Mr. Manry. Back.
Mary Favre and Jason Stockton claim Mary's brother, Michael Manry, owes for medical bills and personal belongings. Michael is countersuing, saying they illegally took his son from his custody.
Mr. Manry, Dakota was only at your niece's house for a short while. You already told me that when he came to you, his gate was off. So right before he went to stay for a couple of days at your niece's house, was his speech slurring?
No, he always had a speech impairment because of the disability, but his speech was not slurred at all. That is a lie. Him having the skinny arms and all, that's all
Okay,
lie.
I'm not talking about skinny arms. I'm talking about his slurred speech. What I was saying. I don't think that you're a bad guy. And I don't think that your sister and her fiance meant any harm when they saw a situation that they thought was dangerous. And as it turned out, they were able to get him seriously needed medical care. That doesn't mean it was all done right. But what you're asking for is to be compensated by the defendant for the cost of the ambulance bill that you incurred. Now, this power of attorney was signed by Dakota, if in fact he had capacity to sign this power of attorney. It was done 2 weeks after his first surgery. So up until that time, even if I could construe this as a valid document, his father had physical custody of Dakota. And I assume that's because he had special needs and is unable to live on his own. Is your son able to live on his own?
No, he never will.
Okay, so that's what I assume as a result of this order. If you want this order changed, you have to go back to the court in Mississippi. You have to be declared his guardian.
Your Honor, we did not want to be declared his guardian. The reason the POA came about to start with, during the entire surgical...
Your Honor, can I say something?
The father was aware of it. So was the mother. The mother was actually present at most all of the appointments.
It doesn't matter. The mother doesn't have custody, legal or physical.
We were under the impression, and were told she did, that he only had a temporary custody. So she showed up to say she had to sign all the documents. She was going to do this. She was going to do this. She was going to do this.
Did she sign the documents?
She signed some. Then under social services directions, Mary was informed.
Bad advice. Now, just before I get to the issue of clothing, property, whatever he has that's at your house, and where it should go from here, your first stop is to go back to the court in Mississippi that issued this order and say to them, I need Dakota's law guardian. He'll be appointed a guardian for himself, independent of you, and they will interview him and they will do certain evaluations of him and determine where it is that he wants to live. But you have to do that in court. You can't do that ad hoc because you relied on his mother's statements that she had the authority to sign off on these things. She did not until this is changed. And if you want to change it, you are free to go in and try, and then Dakota will be interviewed and seen by a psychologist or a psychiatrist, and he'll have a medical evaluation and determine whether or not he is a person who actually requires guardianship. And if he requires guardianship, you can petition for that, and you'll have a trial. This is not that trial.
Yes, ma'am.
Did Dakota have Medicare?
Medicaid.
He had Medicaid.
That would pay for the ambulance ride.
Yeah, I just want to know if he had Medicaid. He did.
I did give them the Medicaid number, and they keep sending me a bill, and I called them, and they said because it's a different state, it's not covered.
It doesn't matter. Tell them to send their bills to his father. Tell them that you do not have custody or guardianship of this child. His father has custody, guardianship, and this bill is not yours.
The bill is going to Dakota. They're going after Dakota for it. His Medicaid didn't pay.
They will be very smart seeking payment from people who can pay them, which is his parents. Right now, you're not legally responsible to pay for his ambulance bill. The only person who might be legally responsible for it is his father, and that will be up to the ambulance company to do. This is not your responsibility at all. So discount the ambulance bill. Next to Dakota's things, you want property that he has in his father's house. So let me go back to you with regard to my statement to you 4 minutes ago. You have to have this custody order modified. You have to go back to the same court that issued a legal and physical custody order of Dakota to his father and say, we would like guardianship of him. He wants to stay with us. He's 19 years old. He will be interviewed. He'll be analyzed. And if at the end of the day you get guardianship of Dakota, then his father may or may not turn over whatever property he has. Dakota's never worked. So whatever property he has was either purchased or given to him by either his mother or his father or other relatives.
A lot of it was his mom that paid for the stuff.
I don't know that.
No, the bottom line is,
What I'm telling the plaintiffs is that if they think that they can provide a more pleasant, stable environment for Dakota, they have the right to petition for guardianship of him. Now, it would be in Dakota's best interest long-term if he were to have contact with both his mother and his father. Contact. I'm not saying live with. Mother, father, and his aunt, and his soon-to-be uncle, as soon as you make up your mind and give her a ring. It's in his best interest. He needs the largest community that he can.
I agree.
Okay? We're going to stop throwing because that only serves to inflame already raw emotions. I want you to say, I am angry that I wasn't consulted in this massive surgery that your son had, but I'm grateful that it was done because if it wasn't done, in all probability, he wouldn't be
Mary Favre, and Jason Stockton have accused Mary's brother, Michael Manry, of owing for an ambulance bill. Michael claims Mary and Jason took his son without his permission.
What I'm telling you is a very simple procedural thing where you have to go. You can't sue him for the return of Dakota's things unless you have guardianship of Dakota.
Understood.
Because he already is the subject of a recent order of custody from a court. That's what you have to have. You can take that bill from the ambulance service, put it in an envelope, we'll get you the address, and that's where that goes. That's his father, who is his legal parent under this order. So send that bill to them so you don't have to worry about that bill. As far as his property is concerned, that has to go along with an order of custody or guardianship, and that's something that you should do. But, Mr. Manry, I am not making a decision with regard to his custody or not. What I'm asking you is, until a court reviews whatever orders they're going to make with regard to custody and guardianship, first, I know you may be angry, but they probably saved his life by getting him to the doctor that they did. And if they removed a massive tumor from his brain, you should say, thank you for doing that, because life. And for that, at least, you have to be grateful. You can be angry. You can be angry that you didn't get it done before. You can be angry that somebody else did it without consulting you. You can be angry at all of those things. But at the same time, you have to feel grateful that it was done.
There wasn't no reason they kidnapped my son.
Okay. Mr. Manry, you keep going back to the same song.
I was worried about
You keep going back to the same song. And what I'm saying to you is, their next stop, if Dakota wants to live with them, and he's right now over 19 years old, is to the court who issued the order to modify that order. All I'm saying to you is, I want you to say, I am angry. Because if it wasn't done, in all probability, he wouldn't be here. You just have to think about that. What I'm telling you is, you have to love your child more than you, at this moment, dislike your sister and her fiance, because they were able to take control of a situation and get your child fixed. So is Dakota, just for my own, is Dakota angry with his father?
He's angry that his father... He is a huge wrestling fanatic.
Okay. What particularly does he want? He wants his wrestling?
He wants his wrestling belts. They have replica belts that were made. He wanted his PlayStation 4 and the wrestling game.
PlayStation 4, I'm not interested in that. He wants his wrestling belts.
Yes, ma'am.
Yana, can I show you something right quick on my phone? Dakota kept texting me, you know, he kept on like video chatting me and everything. And then all of a sudden, like a light switch, it changed and everything. The boy's mind's being poisoned by Mary and Jason.
What I'm telling you, Mr. Manry, that's for another court and another day. By this custody order. Right now, he would like his wrestling belts.
Oh, I want my son to come home.
Okay, then I strongly urge you to go to the court, file a petition against them for custodial interference, or you go to court and file an application for guardianship of Dakota, which is a much more positive thing to do, and let a court that has the social work services, the psychiatric services, evaluate Dakota and figure out in whose best interests are we supposed to have a say with whom he lives. Now, you have my ruling. Your next stop, folks, is to modify the order of the court in Mississippi that gave his father custody, physical and legal custody of him. You have to petition for guardianship. That's your next step. So, in that regard, your case is dismissed. Send the ambulance bill to his father.
They got a counter-suit.
We're done.
Your Honor.
Yeah, I'm not hearing it, sir.
Okay. I did everything I can for my kids.
Did nothing but lie.
When somebody takes your kid without your permission.
But, you know, that's him. I mean, that's what he does.
You don't know where they're at, and you're going crazy because you don't know where your kid's at. That's kidnapping.
I should get a thank you out of it, but he's not going to do that.
I want my son to come home to his daddy because I love him very much. That's my son.
It's about him. It's not about her. It's not about her and her brother. It's not about me and her brother.
My son,
for emotional distress for, I believe it was $3,500. I would have given that to him. I don't think anyone was acting maliciously in this case. Like you said, to the father, he should be grateful that his son is alive and his sister took action when he might have been stumbling a little bit. But that's what that cause of action is for, when someone takes an action that was legally incorrect. And here, the plaintiffs had no legal right to take him to get that surgery. I agree that he should have had it and it all came from a good place. However, when you take an action that causes somebody else such severe emotional distress, and I would consider taking someone else's child in for the riskiest surgery that probably exists, qualifies as causing some severe emotional distress. So I probably would have awarded him that if I was ruling.
Well, so let me give you the reason that I didn't bother to hear it. I think the aunt and her fiance had nothing but pure motives in taking this 19-year-old who they say appeared to be malnourished and they say was diagnosed as being malnourished, which is possible, and it's possible that it was all related to this brain tumor. Stability, and he was with his father for a year while this tumor was growing. I don't think that they had malicious intent.
Neither do I.
And I think that but for their actions, this 19-year-old boy probably would be dead. If they took out the tumor that was the size of a grapefruit, I would say 6 months later or 8 months later, there's a strong probability that would affect the optic nerve, affect the carotid artery, and gone. So, although I could understand his annoyance, from the time they went to live with him until his surgery was a month. And I actually don't believe that this father didn't know where he was for a month, because they evidently have a living mother who they're both in touch with. He was moving around, phone disconnected. At the hospital, the mother showed up. She said, I can sign the documents. Well, you know, you're involved in major surgery for a child. Your focus is not on your brother, who did not take care of business for a year. So I'm going to leave that up to a family court judge to determine who should have custody, and I probably guarantee you that custody will remain with his aunt, because that's what Dakota wants. Father may be angry, but that's what's going to happen. I have no doubt that the father loves him. He did not take good care of him for the year.
Sure.
And so I wasn't going to reward that by giving him any money against these people who had a business with his son. And that's why I didn't hear his case for emotional distress.
Understood. Thank you.
Xin chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì các bạn hãy cùng mình tô màu cho nhân vật công chúa Ariel, nàng tiên cá Ariel nha mọi người. Đầu tiên là chúng ta sẽ tô mái tóc đỏ đặc trưng của công chúa nhé. Mái tóc khá là dài nên là mình sẽ tô hơi lông một chút ha. Giờ mình sẽ tô đến đôi môi. Phải làm sao? rồi. Nó nghe suốt đời. Mình chờ đợi em. Bây giờ mình sẽ tô cái phần vỏ sò đây nha. À, còn một chút tóc mình chưa tô hết này. Phải làm sao? Bây giờ mình sẽ tô để cái đuôi ha. Tất cả những thứ ta đã qua rồi. Nó như là suốt đời. Phải làm sao? Nói nghe đi có lẽ bên nhau. Đấy ta biệt ly. Các bạn ơi, mình đã hoàn thiện xong cho bức tranh về nàng tiên cá rồi. Đây chính là thành quả mà mình đã tô được nha. Cảm ơn các bạn đã cùng mình theo dõi. Video của mình đến đây là kết thúc rồi.